You're listening to M.T.V.B. Podcast. Movies, TV, video and board games. This show may contain swearing.
Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of the M.T.V.B. podcast, a podcast that talks about my four favourite subjects, that's movies,
TV shows,
video games,
and board games. I'm your host, Anthony, as well as most people know me as the Ant-Man, and welcome to this week's episode, a video game episode, of course. As well, obviously talk about movies, TV shows, video games, board games. We'll talk about our top 5 third-person shooters of all time. I'm joined by the guys. I love to talk about video games. Guys, introduce yourselves around the table, please.
Hi, I'm Goku. Back
for season 5.
Season 5.
Welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
guys, it's Gal again, aka Grey Fox in the building.
Grey Fox, how are you, sir?
I'm all good. You guys good?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
Got
fantastic, mate.
Got your list ready?
Yeah, rock and roll.
Been aimed to do this for a while, but someone obviously didn't want to show up.
Yeah, certain cunt then maybe.
What an asshole.
What a game.
Oh, I've got a new trampoline in it.
But no, thank you guys. Thank you. I do appreciate you coming down.
Anytime, bro.
So third-person shooters.
Yeah, what a list. I mean, like...
This should be done like a season or two ago.
We should have done this not long after the first person.
Yeah.
That's so, to be honest.
But we pushed it back for certain someone.
Who isn't...
Who still didn't show up at the end of the day.
So funny that. The irony is too much.
It's just, you know.
Sometimes I wish I could slap that guy.
I know, but he does love a good third-person shooter.
Yeah,
Isn't that right, John?
I like it.
Yeah, see?
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
All right, John. Nice to see you again, mate.
He's actually trapped in answer.
Yeah,
I'm
but
sure
the
right
only
now,
issue was he
isn't it?
couldn't make it today because apparently his top 5 is...
Bloody gory.
So, yeah. But anyway, thanks, John.
That's brilliant.
So, so shall we get on to the questions as normal?
Yes.
And then stick with the top 5s,
Let's do it.
So let's do this, guys. So, in your opinion, explain to those non-gamers out there what third-person games
Shooters
are.
Okay, so it's when the perspective of you, the gamer, is usually behind the character and you are following the character in their peripheral vision. So if you were to turn left, they turn left, whatever. It's basically, you can imagine like a drone following this character. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And, you know, it makes gameplay more immersive, I guess. You know, we'll talk all about that later. But I think that's it, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I think, sometimes it could be over the shoulder type as well. Far away.
That's
and
mainly what it
certain
is,
games have...
More cinematic than over-the-shoulder ones, isn't it? Yeah.
And it adjusts. You can adjust. Some of the games let you adjust it, or some of them change the distance between the character at certain points of the game and stuff. That's like to the.
Like when it comes to a really epic moment, like but in The Last of Us, the first one, it's epic moments, you know, and then it has to kind of change perspective. And
I like the first one. As long as it's not number 2,
the
it's all right.
first
First one's amazing.
Mate,
number 2 is brilliant, by the way.
Number 2 sucks ass. Anyway, go listen to that review after season 1. Was it season 2? Go listen to that review.
Yeah, I think our avid listeners know.
That's first ever review.
You know, part 2.
And you agree with that, Big Al?
Yes, 100%. They nailed it. Yeah.
So, to a lot of RPGs are considered as third person. Would you class them a third person shooter in a way, or
RPGs? Yeah.
So RPGs as a third person shooter, or
Well, just in general, as most RPGs are third person, but some of them have the aspect of first person. You can change either way. Would you class them in the third person range, or because they go first person, they're neither? They're literally just an RPG strictly, or
I mean, if the game gives you the options of switching to first person, but it's originally it's set in third person, I would say it's a third person game. I think I think there's one in my list where you've got an option to go with first person and you utilize it, but you use it for for when you need it. It's not, but I think you can still do it without it, but to pull off accurate things, you need to go into it. But I still call it a third person
shooter.
It just gives you another sort of
dimension
to play with then, and I think that's great.
Exactly. I think interesting one. It's like Fallout. That's a good example of it, isn't it?
100%. Right? That was what I was going to get. But I thought,
you're
a Fallout fan as well as me. I thought you'd do that.
But it's interesting.
Doesn't other games like
Metal Gear does it?
Metal Gear, GTA,
Grand Theft Auto.
Yes.
In fact, they
started
off third person. They've put the first person one in it to please FPS fans. But that's it's a classic.
Could you imagine?
So it switches between third person and first person.
So it's
from number 5. It did when it went to Xbox One and PS4. It did.
You've got the option
they changed
of
it
putting
up.
on.
There's an option. I didn't even know that.
It's not the first one when it first came out. They changed it. On the next gen after that.
It's actually really smart. Like with GTA is a great example. So when the game came out, it's obviously initially from the blueprint, it's always a third person game. But they thought they put it as an option, like an add-on kind of thing. So, but every aspect of it is in first person, so it's hilarious. So you could be walking and you can see people, talking to each other. And when you punch them, you see the fist coming out. When you pull out your phone, you see the messages. It's proper first person.
I always used to do the thing.
Really
I think when you're in a car, you can change it into first person. I always had it third person. When I jumped in the car, it's first person.
Yes.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Actually, I've got something to talk about. We'll talk about it later. Actually, we'll finish the question. But it's something that I just wish.
Are you going to remember it though?
Ubisoft.
Let's do it now.
Should I do it now?
Do it now.
Oh man. Okay. There's one game that I just wish, right? And I really, really wish. And I know that there's a certain game in this, which one of your favorites. It's with Far Cry. I loved that it was in first person, right? But I had this weird thing. Okay, like I'm weird, very particular when it comes to certain games. I wish that when you were driving the car, it was in third person.
Okay.
I don't know why, but it's something about you customize your car and all this and all that, but you can't see your car because you're sitting in the car and you're driving in first person. What? So all you're seeing is the screen is moving and you see the steering wheel. And that's it.
Yeah.
So what's the point of customizing?
Exactly. And that's the thing. No one else can see it except, I think to myself, if Ubisoft, please, if they can just do an update and just please me. Forget everyone else, just me.
Turn Far Cry to GTA, basically.
I think if they did that third person, the driving and, everything, because you got airplanes, cars.
Sure,
and, they did that in third person. I think, I don't know, it just looked really cool.
Yeah.
That's very...
Listen out, Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Do it.
Do it now.
Just do it, please.
You have the power. Yeah.
They have the power.
Yeah.
Where am I? Sorry, yeah. So, Gal, you mentioned this before we actually start the episode. What version of third-person shooter games are you more into? Is it the sci-fi aspect, the horror, the realistic genres, or the fantasy RPGs? What one do you favour?
Very good question, because I think third person has this sort of element to where I think you can literally do pretty much any sort of genre, any sort of type of game, and it just gels well. Whereas, for example, if you choose first person, I feel like you're restricted. Which is, don't get me, there's brilliant games that pull it off. Like one example, like first person, I don't think you can probably do stealth. Then again, one of the best games was Perfect Dark for stealth. Yeah, I feel like you can't utilize certain things.
That's first person, isn't it? Perfect Dark.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But
it's meant to be a stealthy game, isn't it? Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
So I feel like third person, it utilizes and I think you can pretty much use it for any genres like horror, sci-fi, RPG, as in different genres, different type of games.
That's so.
Which do you favour out of them? That's the question, isn't it? What one is your favourite?
I think the one I prefer is where...
Or do you have to be in a certain mood?
No. So I think the ones that I really like, which without going spoiler, is they have like a multi-layer to it. So it's not just an action game, but it goes into like different different genres. Sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect perfect example. Near Automata.
Yeah.
So third person, but it switches to various different. Like
You've mentioned that before.
Yeah,
as well,
so that's so clever. Like but again,
Genius.
like do you class that as like third person?
Yeah,
Because it switches in and out. It's brilliant. It's just
true. Yeah.
So I like those stuff. But then again, I think third person is one of those. What do you call it? A genre or third person game? Yeah,
it's like an
Absolutely,
You
yeah.
can literally
It's a genre
like,
game now,
I think
isn't it?
developers can, just
everything,
easily
can it?
just make games for a third person.
Absolutely.
I think we had a conversation about this before, and if you look at all the PS3, PS4 era of recent ones, they're all third person. Ghost, God of War,
right.
Uncharted, and I think it's more for
It's
the
definitely a big
cinematic-
favourite for Sony, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely, yeah.
So yeah.
I think they want to also just make you like be a part of the 3D
Yeah,
world,
like,
isn't it? Like,
I
because
think-
when you see it from a first-person perspective, you're not really taking it all in. It's very tunnel vision.
That's it. Yeah.
Whereas if it's like
you can show
third
the
person-
action. You can get specific gameplays out of it because you can see the character. There's something about seeing the character. Sometimes
in
when
the environment.
Yeah, when I
isn't
play
it?
first person, I'm like, I want to see my
Indian
character.
environment, you say?
Yeah, in the environment.
Or
Indian
in the environment. I we said Indian environment.
Indian environment.
What game are you playing?
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah. Fine. Goku, what about
Yeah,
you? What's your favourite?
Do you know, it's a tough one. I don't know if it kind of like, it's like what you said, Guy. Every single genre, if you think about it, can be third person. So for me, I don't know, like even more of like the open world kind of games. I don't know if that's, but then again, see, that kind of breaks it down into RPG and stuff like that. Yeah, I guess like just shooting games, Yeah, like that in third person. I know there's a first person element to it, which is great, but also the third person is quite good. So,
and also horror works well in it. Third person.
Yeah.
Horror.
Yeah. Oh, mate, that's...
Yeah, I mean...
Just look at Resident Evil.
I think horror's better first person, in my
More
opinion.
scarier, but
there
are games that utilize third
100%, yeah.
Like,
well, I'm sure we'll name the list later on honorable mentions and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's third person just can take you anywhere now. You look at big games like your Red Deads and whatnot and immerse you in this world, and like its own game is just its own genre now, isn't it? It's like you don't look at these games and think, oh, that's a sci-fi game. You just think, it's third person because that's the style of the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when you go into my list later, I like a pretty much wide range. I don't think I could have a favourite personally.
Yeah.
I mean, knowing my background would be horror sci-fi, but the way the game's done, I think, like I said earlier on, it's scarier as a first person, not third. So I couldn't pick horror as my favourite at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, it depends on what game you're playing, what sort of mood you are, in all fairness. So
mood is a big factor nowadays.
Definitely, it's a big thing.
And then we're going to go with obviously the last and obvious question of all. But can you remember the first third person you played? Now, I'll go into mine quickly, and I'm sorry if it spoils your list. Don't mention it if it does. But I thought that Super Mario 64 was my first. Right?
It technically was, right?
I thought that.
Yeah.
But then there was a game before that came out. And obviously Mario's not a shooter at the end of the day, is it? So, but there was a game that was out on the PS1, which was exclusive for PC first. And it was Tomb Raider. The first ever Tomb Raider.
Of course it was.
As far back as I can go, I can remember.
Yeah,
is technically third person.
That is.
Of
course it is. Yeah,
and she shoots.
Classic.
As well as explores and whatnot.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, basically.
But that's
the first one.
Yeah,
I think
that's amazing. Back in the day when
my one, to be honest,
crates were like cubes, so the whole level was just one big cube. But
that's right.
Is it? Person, right? Yeah.
I was
had
thinking,
a boulder. And,
Crash 3, maybe that's like a third person.
Not a shooter though, is it?
No. Well, it's got to be a shooter.
Wait, it's third person shooter episode. That's why I was like, Mario 64. No, it's not a shooter.
It's a tough one. Yeah, it's on the PlayStation. It probably was Tomb Raider for me. Actually, I remember playing number 3, like the first one, thinking, "Whoa,
that's hard." That one as well.
Tough. Oh my god. Yeah.
Maybe I'm going way a bit back. Siphon Filter. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I remember Siphon Filter. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
it's like Mission Impossible that wasn't Mission Impossible.
Yeah. But I don't know.
PlayStation's Mission Impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, maybe even Metal Gear. I don't know.
Metal Gear Solid. Of course it is.
Definitely stealth shooter.
Yeah.
Third person,
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, probably one of those.
Yeah.
Too.
Actually, I remember mine now. Mine was it was on the PlayStation. You ever remember they made so many Army Men?
Yeah,
right?
the when you the little toy,
The little
Army
toy
Man
ones,
thing. Yeah.
and it had so many. And you'll love this because I remember going to Blockbusters just to get every single one of those Army Men games because they had so many. It was so much fun. Yeah,
absolutely.
And that was technically a third-person shooter. That was
absolutely
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, wow.
G's looking online just to make sure he's backtracking.
Double checking. He's going on Google.
He's technically Metal Gear's a shooter.
It means so much to him.
It's on the list like 4 times.
Yeah, he doesn't want to let Hideo Kojima down in case. Oh, by the way, Hideo's got a new podcast.
Yeah,
right?
coming
I heard
out,
about this. Yeah, so maybe we can plug him and he can plug us.
Yeah.
Gal.
Oh god, could you imagine if he ever did that? That'd be amazing.
That'd be so good. That's Gal's job.
Has anyone actually listened to it?
No.
It's out,
There's only two bits in it, and there's prologue, one in Japanese, one in English. That's it.
Really?
Okay.
But
but apart from that, guys, I don't have many questions left. It's literally just the top 5s.
Yeah.
If you've got anything else, we'll just go straight into it. Big guy's still looking.
Still checking.
No, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
It's time for a top 5.
Right, so anyone that was listening to the previous episodes, obviously, we are not doing the clashes anymore.
Yep.
Goku, you're aware, it's a new season.
Yes.
It's a new game, baby. We don't do clashes now. So if yours gets mentioned later, just obviously jump in when you can, all right?
Fantastic. I like it.
Who would like to go first?
Ooh. Do you want to go first, Gal?
You guys can.
Yeah?
He's still looking.
He's still on his phone.
So would you like to go first or would you like me to go first, sir?
You go first, Anne.
I'll
go
first,
you.
right?
Yeah.
My number 5 is essentially, it definitely is a shooter, but it is in the style of a Dark Souls game.
Oh, wow.
And it's Remnant from the Ashes is my number 5.
Wow.
If no one has played this game and you love Soulborne games, I highly recommend this because it's Dark Souls,
right?
It's guns. It is fucking awesome. It's so awesome game. It's like the only only the 2 out of the Soulsborne style games I've actually ever played completed.
Have you finished
and gone back
it?
and redone? I've even redone it on Game Plus.
Oh
New
my
Game Plus.
God, yes, because that's a tough game, right?
It's a tough mother, but it's so good. It's one of those games where I'm so glad I have the Elite controller and you can lock the control the triggers because good fucking God, there's no way I'll be able to shoot that fast if it was just a normal trigger thing.
So you actually had to use the trigger.
I had to lock it,
Oh my God.
And that's how difficult it is. I got G on it at one point and I think he did start playing it. Or
I'm near right at the end. I couldn't beat one of the boss.
Okay, right.
Oh, wow.
And this is what I like about this Goku. So I'm not sure if the later Born like Dark Souls or Bloodborne does this at all, but when you go back and replay it, you have different bosses.
Okay.
So you don't essentially have... Well, you go the same route, but you have different bosses.
Wow.
And obviously every boss gives you a different weapon to help you progress in the game.
Sure.
And I remember playing this game and I was like, I need to defeat this boss, but it's better if you have a certain gun.
Yeah.
But, I haven't come across this boss. So, again, it makes it harder for you. But then when you go back and do it again, it's like, okay, I see why this would have been good.
Amazing.
Bosses are pretty epic in this game as well. It's
what are the bosses like?
I mean, a multi-range of regular sized ones, but they keep you in a close quartered room, so it's hard to escape and to dodge as well, which I love that aspect of it because not only that, you've got other enemies coming at you as well as the boss. Again, very claustrophobic, but then you have ones where it's out in the open. It's just such a multi variety of bosses. One of the ones halfway through the game is called the Undead King, he was one of those ones where I'm like, this is the guy that's going to test me. If I can't beat him in a few goes, fuck this game. and lucky enough, I did it. I think you had an issue with it at one point, didn't you?
I had that issue with the where you have to fight on the bridge and the monster is in front of you.
There's 2 of them, isn't there? Yeah.
Oh,
it's like 2 massive moths coming at you, sort of thing. So
that sounds epic.
But it's such an under the radar game, wasn't it? It was just so. I
didn't hear about it.
It came out when nothing else was out, so people started playing it, and then they found it too difficult because it's Soulsborne players were like, I don't fucking like this. There's no swords. There's no shields. There's like it's all about gun work. It's all about getting those shooting that quickly and whatnot. And I just really really like it. It's a game I've gone back to. I went back to it recently because they re-released more DLC for it, and there was some good stuff there thrown in. But I can't deny that as a shooter, a third-person shooter, it had to go in the top 5. I had something 100%. Else on here which I took out last minute. Which I'll put in my honorable mentions. I don't think you guys have ever played it. But yeah, definitely Remnant from the Ashes. 100% recommend it. You should give it a go. I think it was on Game Pass at one. I think it was, maybe not now though.
Okay.
I think it's on the PlayStation Network. I think as well.
Or try it on that then. Yeah.
So. Okay.
But yeah,
I've got
one thing I want to. I don't know if you might have said it. So if you played the game and you started the game as well, your layout of your map is completely different to his.
Different.
Yeah, so
That's
you can't.
So the game just builds on itself.
If there's a random generation sort of map,
that's amazing.
So it'll be completely different, and there's no. So he might find something, an item where that, and he could be like, "Oh yeah, this is where it is," and it'll be completely different.
Yeah.
It might be at the very end of that level, or
wow.
it's just completely random. A bit like Diablo, where it just regenerates the maps.
Yeah. That's interesting. So it's interesting. You know, you were talking about bosses, right, guys? Like, because I realize that when you play these kind of bosses in a third person, how important it is to be on third person, because you perspectively have to see where your character is. So if they're firing pulses and whatever at you, or like, you know, arrows and stuff, you know, you need to kind of have an awareness of space of where you are. Right? That's why it's so important for it to be in a third person, right? So, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's my number 5. Yeah, had to be done. Did you want to go next, or do you want to go next?
I can go.
Yeah, go for it.
Just double check my
Biggest Gears.
Biggest Gears.
Great Fox. What's your number 5?
He's on his phone. I think he changed his last minute.
Yeah, he has. Because he put like 5 Metal Gears on there.
Exactly. If you know Gal going on a radio silence for 3 minutes is unheard of in his podcast.
I'm going to do what you did a couple of episodes. I can't remember which one. Where like instead of one, I'm going to say the franchise. Is that
sure.
One?
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to say Uncharted.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Third person shooter.
Absolutely.
I think Uncharted is, you know, as a franchise, it's just gone from strength to strength. As soon as the first one came out, it blew out. Number 2, just, you know, everyone's balls just dropped.
Yeah.
And, you know, to where it is now, it's, you know,
and then 3, ooh. Come on, 3's not great, dude.
I still liked all of them. Like
3's not great.
Drake's Deception.
Even Lost, like 1 and 2, yeah. 3, nah. 4, okay, yeah.
Lost Legacy is pretty good for a DLC as well.
Oh, that's
I've not played that one, so I can't.
Yeah.
I can't jump on that.
Very good. The puzzles in that.
It's in India as well. I think.
Yeah, it's Indian. Yeah,
Indian.
That's why I mentioned that before.
It's got the whole Ganesh thing going on.
Yeah.
Hang on. So you like the game because it's set in India?
No,
it's not because it's a good third-person shooter.
Because of the DLC. I just said it's a DLC.
This guy. Man. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
And you know what makes it really good is I think the action of it, as well as like as in the set piece. I know it's about third person shooter.
Sure.
You know the way, you know, you shoot and then you pick up weapon on the go.
You
swap around and stuff. But overall, you know, I think I've kept saying this in previous episodes. Like the level design in these games are unreal,
phenomenal.
Like
man.
You know, it always starts off like, you know, so, you know, you need to get to a point, and you can see it in the distance, and they'll be doing it like consistently through every like. Yeah,
it's a classic Naughty Dog, isn't it?
And it's
so
just
you
like,
see,
you know, you're going to get there, but the way you get to that is just like a mind for how they design it and how each little thing works is amazing. But and again, I think number 2, is it the one in the snow? Or?
Yep. It starts
that
off with
multiplayer.
Yes.
Multiplayer was brilliant in that. I played the shit out
of that.
That
was really good. That was the first time they put multiplayer in that.
Was the multiplayer in third person?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if it had a type of horde mode. Yeah, I think you and another player, you just have to like ward off these like hordes, and obviously you can do like death matches as well. But I got proper invested in that.
Yeah. Can you quickly just like really touch up on that? Like, guys, you know, like, okay, first person shooters, when you're doing team deathmatch, like the Call of Duty and stuff, you know, it's important for it to be in first person. See, I was always skeptical by being third person, but when you play a game like Uncharted, it's interesting. And for example, when you win money, you can, you know, put cosmetics on your character and stuff. It kind of adds that element to the third personness of it, you know, because it's weird because normally if you have the whole screen where you've got the crosshairs, but in this is like third person, so you ultimately
and the only thing you see is the gun in a first person.
It makes it more challenging, right?
As in,
but
like,
it's still good.
Cosmetic wise, it's just really good. You can actually see what you're putting on your character. Whereas,
exactly.
You know, if you win a costume for a first person, you're not actually going to, actually.
That's the thing, because it has to be third person, because when you're playing the multiplayer, you are doing the Nathan Drake jumps and stuff like that, so it needs to be that element.
And I think I can't remember if it was a later one or I can't remember. I think you can actually like swing around on the hook and stuff and stuff like that.
That was sick.
It's pretty cool.
In between like platforms and stuff. Yeah.
And you can do the takedown as soon as you land and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's just a fantastic game, man. I think
non-stop.
It's hit. I think it's at a peak. Even the last one. I think they should leave it. Even I feel like that this gave birth to Last of Us. What can we do different? They're like, let's do like a survival, and it's Last of Us smashing hit as well. Maybe not number 2, but I still think it's brilliant.
Oh, you admit now number 2.
But again, it's the same, essentially the same type of game, but a bit of survival element. Yeah. Different sort of environment, and that just completely same. I think it's the same sort of game structure, but it's just a completely different vibe. Like from like sort of action into like almost horror survival, and it becomes a completely different game.
Yeah, totally different.
Nice, good stuff. Anything else on that?
No.
Okay,
amazing.
Okay, cool.
All right, my number 5. Right, you both love this game. It's Dead Space.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
and the reason why it's my number 5 is because, oh my God, it was so hard. I was going to move this up the list. I had to put it at number 5 because I came to this game not knowing what it was about. The reason why, so we're talking about, third-person shooters. Mm-hmm. There's something that was so genius about this game. I think I mentioned this on a previous podcast. Well, I've never really seen this kind of mechanic is, so, your conventional game, your health bar, right, is up on the screen in HUD.
Yeah.
This is in the suit, so it kind of removes that HUD element. So it's there. And it's something so genius about that. Like, you're playing around and you can tell, you get excited when you pick up like a medi pack or something and you're on full health. And then you can tell if you're doing really shit against the
safe.
bosses.
And then you walk out the door like,
it comes in. Yeah, exactly. If you've got like one health bar and it's like flashing and it's red and you're like, it's genius. And I thought that was one of the reasons why that had to be included, because third person, it works so well with that kind of element. No other game has done that. I think that was the first one to kind of do that, right? So that was good.
Yeah,
exactly. And then also talking about different genres, I so badly wanted to say the horror element to it because it's probably one of the most, in my opinion, one of the best horror games,
the horror sci-fi.
Yeah, exactly. And, I can't wait because when they do the remake and we're going to be listening on our headphones, just the sound, I can't wait to see how they're going to incorporate that into it and stuff.
The sound in there is amazing.
And absolutely,
terrifying.
Exactly. And going back to, it being a shooter as well, the weapons on this game are so good. Dude. Even just the first gun that you have, the 3 splitter, and
the plasma cutter.
The plasma cutter.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
It's got Anne's favourite gun of all time.
Oh,
pew,
yeah?
Pew, pew. That's from Dead Space 2, though.
From number 2. Yeah, and that's genius. And the way you can kind of like turn its orientation, to cut off the limbs and stuff like that.
That was how to defeat him, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Oh, my God. There was something so nice about that, So, yeah. So that's got all kind of, and it makes you think like they made a third person, that was a third person game. It would have never worked if it was a first person shooter, I think maybe the horror element would have been, enhanced.
I reckon it could have worked.
Because you have to see Isaac, as Isaac, right?
I'm kind of gutted he never spoke in the first one.
Yeah.
I'm kind of gutted. It was like they didn't, obviously they put it into the future sequels that he did. But in that one, I'm like, I'm kind of gutted he never. I hope he does in the remake. I hope they refix it in that, because that was like the downside. Hey, you go do this, and he never says a word. It's like, no, fuck you. Have you seen what's out there? Exactly. That's what I'd be like.
Then all of a sudden he starts speaking number 2, right?
That's what I'm saying. Number 2 kicked off with him talking. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Oh,
it's really good. Yeah, really, really good.
It's a good choice.
Dead Space. Yeah.
Good choice.
Nice.
Brilliant.
I kind of forgot to do number 5, so
number 5.
So that was our number 5s, by the way, guys. Slight technical error there. Some good choices so far. Let's move to the number 4s.
Number 4.
So my number 4, I've literally just rechanged it because I think someone else might have this on the list, and this will be technically my number 6. As rearranged to now is my number 4. My number 4 is a game I guarantee that a few listeners have not heard of this game, and it is a game called Stranglehold. Does anyone know here what that is?
I've heard of that.
Is this on Xbox 360?
It was, and PS3.
I think I remember this.
Yeah,
I don't remember playing it.
This is essentially if John Woo made a video game starring Chow Yun-fat, and it is literally all his movies into one, like Chinese action packed slow motion, like Max Payne sort of thing, and just it is great. It's fantastic, and it's literally Chow Yun-fat going around shooting everyone and doing what he does in all these famous Chinese films like Boiling Point and stuff like that.
Oh man.
And yeah, I think John Woo was a producer on it or something as well. But there's even a moment where this game has so many fucking cool scenes in it. It really does. It's like, I really want to be in this, action movie sort of thing. But there's this one part of the game I always remember where you lift your bar up to a certain point, you can do this thing where you zoom in on someone, be their head, whatever. Very much like Sniper Elite. You shoot it, and the bullet follows it all the way until they get hit. And whatnot. But you can do the slow motion dive with the double dual pilling pistols, everything. You can go through windows. You can jump on top of tables and slide across. Now, if you do that, it slows down, so you can do that and that. So you can shoot your enemy and aim at it. Oh, it's such a great game.
How did I miss
for a
game?
third-person shooter? It is fucking awesome.
So when you say type of Max Payne, does it slow the time down?
Absolutely, yeah. Time slows down. Everything, like all these movies, they sort of slow down so you can do certain things in the game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's so fucking cool. And
That's
it's like
amazing.
Yeah, it's like it's very underrated. I'm kind of glad there was never ever a sequel to it because it was a great game. But I don't know if the company went bust or anything. I want there to be a remake because I'd love to play that game again. I can't be asked to bust out the old 360 and play it again. But yeah, if you're ever a fan of like your action movies, or do you remember the game Enter the Matrix?
Yes,
it's like that.
game.
So it kind of like has that aspect to it with the slow motion.
The bullet time
and the bullet time and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
And if you're a fan of like Chinese action films, if you're a fan of John Woo himself, when he made like Face Off and MI2, all that sort of stuff, this will be right up your alley. It's such a great fun, leave your brain at the door, third person shooter. If you want to live to be like in an action movie, this game delivers it for you.
That's amazing.
And playing as Chow Yun-fat, going in slow mo, shooting up shit, shooting people up. Dude,
that's incredible.
Honestly, look it up on YouTube or something.
Wasn't it what's it called when it comes out with the console?
Oh, you mean like a launch game?
Launch game. I swear it was a launch.
It wasn't a launch. No, it was on both.
Because I think they were like showing it off and stuff. When I remember that actor and his that game and
Chow Yun-fat. Oh man. It's the fact that you can
I
recognise the box.
So I'm showing the picture everyone now,
yeah.
I'm sure that was a launch title.
It wasn't, dude, honestly. It was literally on the 360 and PS3.
Oh my god, I wish I played that game now when I had the opportunity.
Early years of the 360 then. I'm sure I've seen it.
There you go, PS3,
the initial
360.
Oh, nice.
But look up some of the footage, just like the trailer or something, and how it's so fucking
sick.
good. It's like, if you're an action junkie, it's right up your alley. And for a shooter,
it's amazing.
Can't deny it,
Yeah. See, because again, and that is a game that had to be done in third person, isn't it?
Yes.
There's no other way.
You wouldn't be able to. No, I don't think you'll get the full satisfaction of the slow mo. Because you remember in Max Payne when you did the slow mo, you can jump forward, you can jump backwards, and it all goes in slow mo sort of stuff. That's what this does. But it takes that extra part if you're sliding down the stairs or you're sliding over a table, if you're jumping over cars or something. And
super cool.
Pow, 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 pow. It's
so
weird how his gun never runs out of bullets. But
I've never played it.
Yeah, I never played that. I think
it was also the first time like they did the whole where you aimed at an enemy and it does that slow mo thing, and like Sniper, I mentioned about Sniper Elite. It follows that bullet, and if so, say for example, you aim for the guy's cheek, it would hit his cheek, and there would be who would animate to it, sort of thing.
That is
weird.
weird.
If you shot him in any part of the body, they would like if you shot him in the balls or something. But just the fact how you could slow mo, take your time, pow, and that bullet would follow because Sniper Elite wasn't around then at the time.
Oh
so
yeah, of course. So they clearly got it from that.
Seriously,
kind of thing,
it blew my balls off.
That's
it's
insane.
like
and it was made by what's the name? The director.
No, he produced. I think he helped produce it, but it was done by Midway, who'd done a few. I can't remember what they're famous for, but you'll probably remember they've done a few. I'll look up their list when we do your number 4.
I'm just trying to think.
Nice.
Well,
I'm thinking, how did I miss this game? That is
there's so many games we've missed, man.
Yeah.
I think it came out something when this came out. Something bigger came out.
Okay, so overshadowed.
Most likely. I luckily picked this up when it was rental blockbusters. Again, working there, I give it a go. I like Charlie. In fact, I like Charlie's movies. Fuck, this game's good.
Bought
it literally the next day. I wish I never got rid of it now, but again, a remake would do nicely. I think it would play well, just like now, but because it's not online or anything, people don't like it. And shit. Anyway, that's my number 4. If anyone can ever find it or illuminate it on their PC or whatever, give it a go. Stranglehold, starring Chow Yun-fat.
Amazing.
Big Gal, what's your number 4, sir?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be a bit boring, but I think it's one we have mentioned. Again, I'm going to do the same thing as I'm going to mention the franchise, if that's okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Mass Effect.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Yeah.
so when this game first came out, I've one of the games that I really truly loved as a third person, which it's a shooter. Knights of the Old Republic. That left like a void, I think, because if that whole sort of crew building and light and dark side and sort of, I think BioWare made that, and I love that sort of, and you go and explore the world of Star Wars, and that blew my mind when it first came out. And then a couple of years later, there was a void of these type of games, and I don't know if you remember Jade Empire.
Yeah, Xbox One, the original Xbox. Yeah,
but it's not a shooter again, but it was the same sort of element of this.
Yeah.
And then when Mass Effect finally came out, it was just like, whoa, you can travel in space. You can go to different planets.
Yeah.
And there's a ship that's your hub.
What's the ship called?
Nomad.
No.
For a second, I thought you were going to say Nebuchadnezzar.
We'll come back to it.
Wrong, man.
That's going to annoy me. You can't tell me that. That's going to annoy me. You put me on the spot. God
You're on the right track.
No, something.
Hey?
He was so bad at saying
Normandy.
Normandy. Okay, I was close.
Yes, I said you're on the right track.
And this had this, and another thing I loved about it was, I think everyone knows Mass Effect. I love the relationship aspect as well. Like
between characters,
you can like smash the birds or the guys or whatever. I think more so in number 2. I think it did that, whereas before. But it's and going on to the gameplay as well. It's shooters. You got different type of elements. You've got your tanks. You got your sniper. You got all those different, and then you utilize on how you who to pick. You might have like variation types of a tank.
Yeah.
And you got specialist, healer and stuff. It's got all the elements of RPG, but in my sort of favorite type of genre, maybe sci-fi. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
And for our viewers who don't understand the lingo behind the word smash, it's another word for fornicate. Isn't that right?
They might not even know what fornicate means.
Yeah, that's a bit too
What's
technical.
fornicate? Oh, you mean fucking?
Well, I remember,
Just for the chavs that listen, guys. That's why.
remember when number 2 came out and it had, is it Miranda, the one in the white suit?
Yes.
I fancy the shit out of her, man.
Miranda.
Everyone did.
You mentioned her before.
I remember I had to like, run it on my laptop, my laptop was like. So
I bet it froze on that part.
Yeah.
On your Hewlett
It was
Packard.
struggling. I was at my uni. I was like, "Fuck, come on, man!" It was like,
We're trying to beat one out whilst it was on.
No, the title screen.
Yeah,
it was struggling on the title screen. I just gave up, man. I was so upsetting. But it's up there. It's got to be on everyone.
It's Mass Effect, man.
Mass Effect. Wow. It's just got a
Great fucking franchise. I can't wait for the 4th one when it ever eventually comes out.
Yeah. Just take the time, man. Just take your time.
Finish it properly.
Yeah, don't do Athens. Anthem, sorry.
No.
Oh, God.
Athens. Fucking Greek.
That had going off topic, that had so much potential. I just can't believe it. Just like
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's a shame when that happens. The same with Andromeda. I think they rushed.
Don't diss Andromeda. I loved Andromeda.
I feel like there's you get to the point near the end and you're like, what, is that it? That was the only gripe I had. I thought there's more.
The issue was how far apart it was from the last one. It shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been 600 years later. It should have been like quite recent.
I didn't mind the story actually. I
fucking love Andromeda. I don't care what people say about Bleach and stuff. The ending was a bit meh, but like you said. But then if you think about like the other ones, they don't really have great endings.
Nah.
If you think about it.
yeah.
No, it's just that one, and I remember the recent one, the Star Wars Fallen. It just didn't felt like, it was perfectly lengthy, but you just felt like they could have had more, or they had more. They just took it out. It just looked like they just rushed it out. That's how it felt like.
Sure. Yeah.
Because when you have
Andromeda, you talk about.
Andromeda,
Yeah.
It just felt like there was more to it. Like they should, I just didn't feel like it was a complete game, but it's still a good game. Yeah,
because I remember when we were playing it sort of roughly the same time, and we were like talking about it, and just we were enjoying it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it 100%.
Yeah.
I just wanted more.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Right. You want to see more from it and stuff. Yeah.
He wanted more Miranda.
Mate, if she comes back, mate, I'm losing my shit.
You're going to smash it again. Get the old laptop. You're going to fornicate it again.
I'm fornicating.
Fornicating.
Nice. That's a good choice there. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Anything else on that at all?
Amazing.
Nah, just, I love,
Yeah.
So not one particular, the actual franchise.
Yeah, the franchise.
Okay,
I'm
sure.
loving the franchise.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
It also looks so good. Like, because also it's like set in space, so you can actually pilot ships as well and everything in that, right? Or is it just like
Yeah, you can. I
as
mean,
a
you can't
character?
actually drive it. I mean, you can drive the little shuttle
Yeah,
cars
that's it.
on one sort of thing,
Yeah, so
but you can't drive the
go-
Normandy. You can direct it to where you want it to go. Like, I want to
Yeah.
go to that galaxy. You can take it there.
Yeah.
You can send like so you got all these planets and you can
Send probes, can't
to
you?
like get minerals and use minerals to upgrade and whatnot.
right,
and
and your
stuff like that.
character and stuff.
Yeah, it's got all the
yeah.
basic RPG element, but it's just like Star Trek-y sort of Star Wars-y
Yeah.
sort of element. Obviously, it doesn't.
Yeah,
have
it's
very
kind of
many-
like EA Star Trek, if you will.
yeah,
EA
about
Star
it.
Trek.
and it's got the choice elements as well. Yeah, I forgot major.
And it's weird you mentioned Knights of the Old Republic because it's done by the same guys.
Yeah, no, this is what I'm saying.
Oh, wow.
I was going to say Knights of the I should have, but I had to put it in it because that game, when it came out, it was something about crew building and you traveling, like you pick and choose depending on your actions. It's Star Wars as well, and you build your crew and then you eventually go to the final baddie, and I love that sort
element of it.
element
right?
of it.
Yeah.
And then why and Jade, I think, and it's a different
Jade Empire,
Yeah, it's very similar,
Yeah.
but not sci-fi. But then this one came out, and I was like, "Damn, this is good." And it's a shame because I feel like a lot of games stemmed from Knights of the Republic, and I think out of all of them, I think Mass Effect done a good job of it.
Yeah.
That's why I had to put that in there. I would have ideally liked to put KOTOR in it, but it's a bit outdated. So.
Oh, wasn't it? Oh, yeah.
KOTOR,
So, yeah.
KOTOR, and Knights of the Republic.
Yeah, that's what I say for the noobs out there that don't know what KOTOR is. Yeah.
That's
Nice
pretty
one, sir.
good.
Good choice.
Mass Effect. Great.
Oh, cool.
Right.
Try and beat that.
Oh my god, that's a tough one. That's big. I don't think mine will be that, but it's very well for me. It's maybe has beaten it. It's a game called Control. Yeah. So the guys are
who did Alan Wake?
Alan Wake, yeah, by Remedy Entertainment.
Remedy, that's it. Yeah.
yeah.
The more recent one,
Fantastic.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, Remedy,
Well,
yeah, Remedy.
Yeah. Well, basically, so Control's like, in a sense, kind of like a side story, well, a different kind of like story to the Alan Wake. It's kind of happening at the same time or after.
It's lost
Kind
if
of
it was in a business building.
Yeah, that's basically
Right?
it. Yeah, it all takes place in
Apart
the
from
bureau.
the fact she has superpowers, which isn't lost, but yeah.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
did you mention Alan Wake? Sorry, it's in the same.
It's done by the
film.
same
It's
people.
done the same
who
people.
made
Oh,
Alan
not the
Wake.
same timeline.
No.
Yeah, but they do
Same
actually
company.
have like crossovers between it. It's actually in the same world. So
Oh, it is?
yeah,
Okay, yeah,
it is.
right.
So it's basically like you're this lady who wakes up. Forgot her name now, but you kind of wakes up in the bureau, and it's like this supernatural third person shooter. But the reason why I put it on my list is because the third person element is just fantastic when you're fighting what they're known as like the swaths and stuff like this, and you're in this like really dingy building, and you don't know what's going on. It's very supernatural. But there's something so beautiful about it, and it's like even when they updated the game for the PS5 and the Xbox, Series X, it just looks so crisp and like the world around you. Like that's the thing; it's not open world; it takes place in a building, but it's still made it look.
Which is
epic.
so weird because
weird.
I would never for a game like that because of what she can do, her abilities and stuff. You would have thought she's stuck in a building. It's like surely she'd be out in the open and tear down buildings. But no, it's the fact that she's stuck in this complex,
building.
if you will.
Sometimes that makes the game better. Like certain games where when you have that restriction and
it's like claustrophobic
in like
in
a
a
corridor,
sense, right?
and you're not free to go around in like an open world. Sometimes open world is. I feel bad for saying maybe a bit overrated sometimes.
Right,
like sometimes
right.
you need that narrow linear sort of
Absolutely,
gameplay.
yeah. Like a linear within the open world aspect and stuff. Yeah, exactly. It's like you said. Yeah, you're right. Like, you're kind of restricted by the corridors and whatever. You're still kind of following a path, to get there and stuff, right?
I haven't completed it. I remember playing like the first 30 minutes of it.
Yeah.
And it does this weird thing where you go around and you come back round again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's puzzle rooms
and
and
then
stuff.
little puzzle
bodies
rooms.
Dude, I had to look up on
Yeah.
YouTube so much for this fucking game.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's literally a room where the
Literally.
walls move and they puzzle out like a pattern, if you will, and you
Yeah.
keep going, just coming back to the same fucking place. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the
Crazy,
fuck am I
yeah.
meant to be doing
Exactly.
here?
But
What's going on here?
I know. I'll let you carry on. Just again, I played it, and again, I think it's one of those ones that you need to be in the mood. I played it half an hour, and I was like,
completely.
you know what, I'm just going to put it aside.
Because it's a very depressing. Like it is very depressing. You know, it's dark, and you need to get into it.
It's very much like Alan Wake. Alan Wake is a game I think you need to be in the mood for as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It's it's very exactly. It's not the happiest of games. You know, it's something like very supernatural. It's got that kind of X-Filey kind of thing about it.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
It's really like it's.
Do you remember they did Quantum Break? Did you ever play Quantum Break?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good
fantastic.
game. Yeah,
I totally forgot they did that.
Underrated. That is. Yeah,
they did Quantum Break. Oh my goodness.
Story in that's brilliant as well.
Oh, so good.
But sorry, back to Control. Sorry, we keep taking it.
This is Remedy Entertainment, man. They make good games. Yeah, totally. But going back to it. Yeah, so Control is great for that. That third person element. And when you shoot using, for example, the DualSense, you feel it. And that's the greatest thing, because you're kind of essentially, in the end, a lot of games don't do this. So, for example, you're playing games like we've mentioned before, whereas the shooting element, you're fighting against a boss. You're stuck on the ground. It's like boots on the ground. You're not really flying in the space. Yeah. But in this one, you're essentially
you're not ripping up past the wall, throwing it back at them and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. You're essentially kind of multitasking. So you're avoiding the enemies, like bullets, or you're dodging their whatever it is by moving in the space, right? And that's the reason why I had to put this on my list, because I thought no other game does that. Like, for example, everything else is like, okay, you can go left and right, but this one, you've got like the whole 3D space. You've got X, Y, and Z to kind of move around and defeat the enemy. You can fly around, and it's a lot like, I remember thinking to myself playing Metal Gear Solid, imagine being Psycho Mantis. It's like that. You are essentially controlling. You feel like you're Psycho Mantis, but in this woman's body. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you're literally going across and everything's around. Go back. Yeah. It's really good. So I remember like playing these bosses, like really feeling like, oh my god, I put a lot of energy into this. Why is that? And I remember thinking, what's making it so difficult and so challenging? And it's the fact that you're actually essentially moving in the space and firing and stuff like that. It's really good. Then. Oh yeah. Are you stuck on the ground, or are you moving around? Or
no, you don't levitate, let's put it that way.
You don't levitate. But that's what I was looking for, levitate.
Yeah, but the thing I love about that Control is the control scheme of it. Control scheme. But in most games when you fly, you levitate or whatever the fuck you do, there's always a time limit to when you can do that. Yeah. Like you have to charge it up and then you can go do it, whatever. In this game, no. You just do it.
You just do it. Exactly.
The only thing that charges is your weaponry. Because she has no bullets, so she has to charge up and use it up for certain things. Yeah. But everything else she can do, like I said, pull walls and start throwing out, can just be done. There's nothing holding you back doing it apart from just your gun reloading.
Exactly.
I love it when it doesn't limit you to. So do you remember, like when going back to Anthem, when it came out, you flew, but then you had to cool it down. You had to fly under a waterfall, or go into sit down for 2 minutes until the engine cooled. Fuck that, right? Okay,
forever.
Do you know what I'm saying? I hate shit like that. I mean, they kind of worked it well with the Avengers game. Again, if you're any superhero that flies, or like Iron Man, for example, doesn't need to do any of that shit. Yeah, and it goes so well. But when you're like restricted to something as good as flying, really aggravates me. So but the fact Control didn't do that was really good.
Absolutely, yeah. Kind of, you're able to walk and kind of do all of that and stuff. So, but
just that.
It's so satisfying.
Question. So, does it explain what's going on?
Absolutely,
And is it good? Is it worth?
It explains it more than Alan Wake did.
Absolutely.
That way.
Absolutely, yeah. Because you collect these like intel and documents and stuff, and it explains the story. So essentially, it's
so you have to go find it, or the game?
It's kind of there.
Bit of both.
Bit of both.
Some there.
Okay. So you can just play the game and do it normally, or if you want to learn about the story. Like I remember, because again, this was like playing it in when we had a half lockdown, so you had time. We can just sit down and kind of immerse yourself in this game. And I wanted to know more about this story, and it's amazing. And all of a sudden, this small building, you think you're going to complete the game in 20 minutes, became this gigantic world. It's like because there's so much going on. There's different like mezzanines, and like it's not.
Did you ever touch the object and you go to a different dimension?
Yeah,
and the big eye thing comes down.
Oh my God, crazy!
Right?
Yeah. What the hell was that?
I'm intrigued now.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's really good, dude. It's just like I'm
so good.
Surprised on your list. And I said I love the setting of it. I just love how you're. Amazing. Even though you can run around, you can do all these things. Just the fact that you're stuck in this massive building, and it just
I just remember the intro where she just walks into the building, and I'm just like, what the hell's going on? Like,
it's definitely one of those games you really need to. If you're going in for story, you need to focus on it. You can't look at your phone, go on YouTube, whatever sort of thing. Just because if you do, you're like, I ain't got a clue what's going on now.
Exactly, you like miss little things,
Because there's like
I might want to give it on a go actually.
All right, I mean. I'm not sure. I played it when it was on Game Pass. It might not be on there now, but
it's
a good shout. Yeah, I didn't
really
get back to that. I forgot it was third person.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking about it. I was like, and I remember just seeing that and thinking, oh yeah, this is, this definitely has to make the list. Yeah,
That's a good shout.
yeah.
Nice.
Nice one.
Control,
Nothing else on that?
baby. That's it.
We'll go to number 3 then.
Number 3.
So my number 3, I did actually think of it, Gal, and but mine is just one in particular, and it's Mass Effect 2.
Oh, okay. Sorry, dude.
No, it's fine. But I had to put it on there because I have to mention that, and I've mentioned it once on the podcast before, maybe a while back, maybe on the RPG episode in season 1.
I think you did mention 2.
Yeah, so basically when Mass Effect came out, it was a 360 exclusive at the time, and at the time I was more of a fighting game or first-person shooter guy sort of thing. Excuse me, not into third-persons, RPGs, anything like that. Very naive, very ignorant gamer I was. As much as I'm an ignorant movie snob. Anyway, but I played it anyway, and I'm like, do you know what? I played it, I completed it, but my heart wasn't in the game. It's like, I'm not... If they ever did sequels, I can't be fucked, honestly.
Sure.
So when 2 came out, it obviously came out, I believe, in like 2010, something like that. People were going fucking mental over it. Yeah. I didn't play it until like a year later, and I thought, you know what, I've got nothing else to play. Let's give it a go. And good fucking God, this was a game changer for me, big time. I think, like I said, I mentioned in that episode, I think this was the game that got me back into RPGs. And I know we're talking about third-person shooters, but the game is essentially a third-person shooter. I even checked on Google. Yes, it is. Even though it is an massive RPG, it also is a third-person shooter. Yes. But like Big Gal mentioned, the team building, the bonding, the characters you gave a fucking shit about.
Yeah, they have their own story, and it's
that's why. You know, when I logged in, I wanted to just, it was a game where everything else around me didn't exist.
Yeah.
No, I was ready to
you were living on the
Normandy. I was that, I was Jack Shepherd, essentially.
Literally.
I'm going to go get my guys. I'm going to go bond a team and, I'm going to try and shag Subject Zero and whatnot sort of thing. Because she's got some OP powers. Yeah. Man, good fucking God, does she ever.
Could you shag was it called the Krogan?
No. I went for Tali, but then she was like, she wasn't having none of it. So I went
She's the purple girl, right?
yeah, but I went for Subject Zero, the one with all the tattoos, bald head sort of thing, yeah.
Brilliant.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, I can't go into much because obviously Big Guy mentioned it, but I also mentioned in the previous episode I nearly lost my wife to this game at one point as well. So again, go back to the episode and listen to that story if you want to. But it's just... It is a phenomenal game. I love the Mass Effect franchise because of this game. I love RPGs because of this game. Yeah. I love third-person shooters because of this game.
It's got the element of like I don't know what it is. Something where interacting and everything you do counts. Like it make like some sort of issue will happen. You can either you can either gain or lose people as well. I can't 100% sure, but
like on your team, yeah,
and sometimes it has like minor
on the last mission you can lose some of them.
That's it, yeah. And then sometimes it has a minor in their side story will have a minor effect. Sometimes it will be a big effect, but you go in. It's almost like real life. You make choices and you're like, oh shit, what if I done it like that? But in a game when it does that, it just elevates the game to another level, and then I think that's what KOTOR and stuff like Jade Empire and stuff like Mass Effect does. It just gives you that option, like it just gives like even Fallout does that, don't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It does.
Well, it's just like aside from like normal games, shoot 'em up, you can have your open world, but when you introduce choice and consequences for that, they just I'm sold. Like this is good, because then you actually care about the characters, and if your characters like I really like the sniper dude. The first
Galitas or something. I don't know because I can't remember.
And they're not all human. They're all like different races and stuff. And it's
like aliens,
so
it's well detailed, isn't it?
Yeah, you just absorbed in that world. I was living in. I was fucking.
You were living in there.
I think we all were. Yeah,
that's great.
It's so good, man.
Great.
And then number 3 happened. But no, you talked about the remake of it being out, and you would play through that again. See, I don't think I could play through it again because I don't think I would have the same experience as I did first time round.
I think
is the issue.
I've forgotten a lot of things, so I think I might. But obviously, I'll need like 3 months for it or something.
Yeah. And then number 3 came out. I was so ready. Like, come on, guys! My stage's going to cross over to this game, and we're going to go save the. What? No, don't kill him. All right, we still got Tally. We're fine. Oh no, Tally's gone. Oh no, what's going on here? Totally, it's so brutal. But all because
Brilliant.
you know, number 2 was the one that did it for me. And again, like I said, I can't wait for number 4 when it eventually does come out.
Again, they create this void, and then another game will look at that, and then I'm like, okay, let's imply it, and then another friend. That's how it happened to me. It was like Kotor, I loved it, and other games did it, and then the last was Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Now they've kind of flopped, and they get another one out. We'll see.
It's interesting. This is mentioned something really quickly. Again, it's probably something I could have talked about on before the top 5 and stuff. But when you think about like the time at which these third persons were made, like games like Mass Effect, you couldn't have played that on the previous consoles, like the SNES or anything like that. It just needs that much power. Like you need the open world element. Everything, isn't it? Like especially open world shooter.
They've had similar games before, but not to the extent because it's creating space and spaceship fights and all that. It's just I think the era of 360 and PS4 was just like pinnacle.
That's when they could utilize the power. Soaring,
and it was just blowing things up, and it's just like whoa, I think 2010 is like one of the brilliant years till like 2014 or 15.
Yeah, especially for a game like Mass Effect, which is essentially set in space. So you need that. You need a powerful console and technology to play all of that. Yeah,
my laptop couldn't hack it, so.
Oh man,
damn Hewlett Packard. But no, Big Gal went into a majority of it. It's absolutely fine. And again, I mentioned it before in another podcast, so I don't want to baffle about it for too long. But number 3 is Mass Effect 2. Big Gal, what's your number 3?
I'm actually torn on this one, so I've got two of
Nothing's right on them.
2 of them are same developers.
It's a good song. Sorry, Gal, continue.
A lot of things.
This is how I feel. Cold and I'm awake.
Lying naked on the floor.
Put
him on the spot now. Sorry, mate, go.
I'm going to go with the older one, and it's actually Rockstar's GTA 3 San Andreas.
Oh, nice.
Everyone baffles about San Andreas.
Yeah, I think... Yeah. The other one was gonna be Red Dead.
Yeah,
but I think I've already spoken about it on open world, and I think San Andreas is a good choice. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think this came out. I think my cousin was living with me at the time. I remember going out to Blockbusters because I had it pre-ordered, lining up before they opened to get my copy.
Remember this?
They didn't even check my ID, but it doesn't matter at the time. And you know what? This obviously is essentially an open world. It's kind of everything, and this is what I was saying when I was talking about before your question. When it adds layers into a game, so like the moment you get into the car, it's first person, or you can have it further back or sometime on the side. It creates this sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like
dimension.
Dimension. And not just that, like the open world aspect of it. Like, you can have your open world, you can go, but in a real life, almost like a real life simulation. Yeah, there's traffic, there's people, you can run them over, you can follow. I could, I remember, I had my mates around, and Nash was playing. This is so stupid.
This is Nash.
I remember this one specific memory, and he was playing GTA. I can't remember which one, and this loser actually will stop for the red lights. And my mates were like, they look at him like, what is he doing? And he was just waiting there like, and then just go. It's so stupid. I remember my mate looking at me. He's like, what's this? It was this real. But to even that extent, to even do that, it's small little details, but that is
this is driving lesson, right?
and I think everyone knows about the you can pick up hookers and you know what I'm saying. Have all these real life elements in it, and in this sort of third person view sort of world. I thought it was just genius, and it just changes like how you play games compared to others. I think that's why even like I think GTA 5 is still going on is because online, but the fact that it's almost a real world, I think that's one of the reasons that it keeps on it's still going. You know?
totally.
It's like, why does Call of Duty it releases every year, but why doesn't that keep going? But it's open world. I know it's different.
Yeah.
But it's just, something about the real life elements in it. It's just, peak, and I think it's just good.
Yeah, definitely.
And obviously gameplay, obviously it's got, your gangster side, you got your Uzis. It's got, I think everyone knows GTA. I don't think I need to go into
So is it your favourite GTA of all time?
I would say so. San
Andreas
Andreas was the one.
Did you play the remaster?
There's
a remaster of it now.
Yeah,
There's
it
like
came
3
out-
of them.
I think
that
that is
remastered.
so buggy, isn't it?
Yeah, apparently.
That comes with 3 San Andreas.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
that's
it.
Vice City and
No, I haven't.
3, I think it is.
I haven't.
Yeah,
I think
I played that.
I think
yeah,
that
it was
that one. I think I'll just leave it in my memory. I don't think I'll ever
Play again.
revisit it. I think it's
Okay.
It's
like me with Mass Effect 2. I
Yeah.
was just saying, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones. It was a time where like this, I had like fun times with it. Like
Yeah.
I'll go into it a little bit. Like the fact that you can go in and you can eat all you want and you get big or something, or you can go in and train. The little things that make this game so fun. Like the little BMX mics. And I used to have a BMX. I used to just hang around in the first sort of era, just hang around doing all the missions on my bike.
Yeah.
And the customizability in it as well.
Exactly.
I think you can do the wheels up and it's so good.
Yeah.
Pimp your ride.
Yeah, and I remember this guy one time came. I think it was near the end of the game, and I went to this hangar. This massive, big plane came up, and he was like, "Oh my god!" And he ran out. And it's like, "No, I don't want to see. I don't want to see. I want to do it on my own." And I want to he was just like, but he didn't discover. There was stuff that we were discovering, and it was just like, it was. Oh man, it was good.
So
game.
good.
It's so good.
And also, like in terms of like it being third person, open world shooter. I mean, it was just like one of the granddaddies of it, like all the weapons that they had on it, every single weapon you can think about, from the pistol to the flamethrower and stuff like that. And to do that in third person,
did they have a jetpack in it?
There was a jetpack in it that you can use to ride around and stuff. Yeah,
and it wasn't in a fantasy or a sci-fi place. It was almost like a real world where you can relate. Like
exactly,
everything was like relatable.
Yeah, because it was based because that era as well. It was based on Los Angeles during the riots, 92, gangster rap, NWA, all of that. So that had a huge influence on the game. So my knowledge of weapons and stuff came from that game. What is an Uzi? Like I know Uzi because I played Grand Theft Auto, like the most weirdest looking gun in the world. But,
dude,
that's where it came
the
from.
Freaking radio
and they say you
the
don't know
soundtracks
stuff.
in that game,
mate.
The radio stations were one
best.
of the if you
they've done that for all of them now.
No, I
haven't
think
they?
the three ones was wacky and so fun, and it had the whole R&B effect to it as well.
It was great. Like even just songs that were kind of like 80s stuff. I remember the weirdest thing. Yeah, it was like Vice City. Like you hear all these songs, and then I don't listen to Magic FM, but one place where I was working had Magic FM playing in the pharmacy, and all these songs were like, oh my god, I've heard this from the Grand Theft Auto games. I didn't realize these were that popular.
You go, oh, is this the GTA soundtrack?
Yeah, exactly. It's Magic FM. What?
I know one still in my head. I think it's from GT3. Radio. It's the intro for the radio star. Radio star. Radio. It's still in my head, because the amount of times I play it, it's like,
Radio star. You know the song, man? Yeah.
Video Kill the Radio Star.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Video Kill the Radio. Was Natalie Imbruglia in the soundtrack at all?
I just remember that song. I just
Well, Torn.
That's a song
I need to get that as a clip.
That's so
as a sound clip. That'd be awesome. Because he said that a couple of times when he's like, "Oh, I'm torn." It's like, no. I didn't see that coming. I didn't.
I was a massive GTA fan. I think I've grown out of it slowly. Like even. I think I played.
Realize there's more games out there than just GTA and COD.
I think that era was me. I think certain people are attracted to Vice City. Maybe 3. I did like Vice City, but 3 and 4, San Andreas was. I really liked. That was it. And then after that, I think 4 was okay, and 5, I just didn't like the whole 3-player characters.
Do you know, I think number 4 was the one that took me off the franchise. I don't really rate 4 at all, to be honest.
Roman Bellic.
Yeah. But obviously you guys might change your mind on that one. But I remember getting 4. It was so hyped up, this fucking game.
Yeah.
And I had to get the second class copy from Blockbusters because the staff weren't allowed to hold copies. Like you had to get one and join the queue like a fucking
everyone else.
like a customer, like a brigand, for example. So when I went and got it, it's like, and I played 4, and then the first 3 hours of it was trying to get a blind date with another Russian bird and whatnot. It's like,
Yeah.
This is what GTA's come to now. Let me shoot fucking something already. So
it wasn't the strongest, but it's when you say GTA, I always think freedom to do like anything in the game.
Sure,
and that's what I loved about it. To be honest,
exactly the freedom.
Freedom to shoot and smash.
Yeah, and smash. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
That's the sound.
And the car moves.
The amount of times like, my mum said I've got to get out of the car. I'm gonna shoot her off and get my money back. Everyone's done it. I know you listeners done that.
Absolutely.
Everyone's
A saint
done
would
that.
do it.
You ain't a
And you
GTA
go
player
around
unless you've
driving,
done that.
picking the buffest one.
The Pope would play and he would do the same. Like, seriously, you're like, let me get my money back. Yeah.
Super Nash up in the red light. What
Yeah.
dumbass.
Kind of my name is Nash.
Yeah, that's it. To be honest,
Nice.
That's a good choice.
Good shout, sir.
Yeah. I'm happy that GTA made,
Made it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought it was going to be in yours to be honest, but hey. Okay, cool.
Brilliant.
Number 3.
Right. So what I'm about to say, we're going to bring...
GTA.
You'll be surprised, but I have to bring one of our comrades into the room on this one and represent him, Mr. John.
fuck that guy. He didn't make this episode.
Yeah, what an arsehole.
You'll be so proud. You'll be dashing off to this
It's bloody
one.
gory.
It's bloody gory. It's the Division, the first Division.
You done it for him. Did he message you? Can you please mention this?
He
So,
actually didn't. He
I
actually
bet you
didn't.
did.
But he
But
probably.
you're right. It's a third-person shooter.
It's a
Nice.
third-person shooter. Yeah,
Nice.
and that's the thing. Like,
So the first one.
The first one.
Okay.
I would say definitely the first one because it's the first time they've done something like this. And, hats off to like Ubisoft. I know I've talked about some previous episodes. They have this thing where
You were
they
just
have,
upset with them just now. Now you're like, hats off to them now.
Damn it, Ubisoft.
No, like hats off to him.
Exactly.
Make up your mind.
Because I'm on the fence with this one. Like,
So, yeah.
it's like because they've always used the same blueprint
This guy.
in all their games, right? So basically, they have.
He'd
like,
take
the
a
map.
job if Ubisoft offered
Yeah, I
to do
know.
it to me. Dave.
Ubisoft, please hire me. Yeah, so like they kind of like they have a blueprint and they use the same blueprint for all their games. Huge map, you're discovering the map and all this and all that, side missions, whatever. But the Division, it felt real, like it felt really like realistic. And the reason why I had to be on the list because this episode, as much as Gal talks about driving in GTA, is about open world shooters, right? Like
All of them
third person open world shooters.
All of the
Or
ones
third
that I
person
mentioned
shooters.
were.
Yeah, really. Yeah, they were. But right, when we're talking about guns, right? Okay, like this was the game for it because in Division you were constantly like, regardless, every person you kill, you were constantly upgrading your gun. Your gun was going up. It had that RPG element to it, but you felt like you were just constantly in a firefight. Like you're in this world, it's been ravaged by, this infection. Very scary because it had like this COVID element to it. When you think about it now, it's quite scary thinking about it. It's like, like everyone's in lockdown and stuff like this and things going up in the air. But, as you're playing the bosses and stuff like that, you're defeating the bosses, you're going out with your troops and you're shooting gangs and stuff. There's something about the whole finding weapons and, just kind of like upgrading it and stuff like that. It felt really good and it had to be done in a third person. Yeah, it can never have been done first person, Like it had to be done with the third person. So you got your character, and the character is ultimately like, this guy, you can obviously give him cosmetics and stuff like this,
Yeah.
Forget his name. Like, John would know. Like, he's probably thinking, how do you not know his
John's
name?
listening to him. He's like, it's this guy, you fucking
This guy,
idiot.
exactly. Well, John, you should have been in this podcast.
Is it? Should have showed up, bitch.
Exactly. I think we've like, done his number one for him, isn't it? I think this would have been his number one. For
Are
sure.
you sure he didn't
Yeah.
get in touch with you and say, "Oh, cool, could you
please put this in?" Yeah. I'm actually surprised, yeah.
So how's your? Obviously, I thought this was an online-only game.
Yeah.
So there's a campaign to this.
There is, yeah, because it is. They have the online element to it, but you can actually play it offline. You can actually play the whole game offline. So because it takes place in New York, and you're fighting as well as like, so you're basically traveling around.
So is it like a biological weapon that's happened, or has it actually been an actual
It's
pandemic?
like an actual pandemic,
Right.
like So there's some sort of virus that got released into basically into the public during Black Friday. So they found out that it was a day where everyone was using a lot of cash and stuff like this, and it got spread. And then, New York being New York and Manhattan, it was all closed in and everyone got affected by it. And it's basically the stories of the survivors. And there's an agency who come in and they're trying to like basically just solve, what the problem is and trying to just, work out what's happened and stuff. So he plays one agent, and you're going through the different districts. And it's like the real districts you're in New York. So anyone who lives in New York or around the area would know it because you've got like the meatpacking district, you've got Lower Manhattan,
So do they actually go in like sketch it out, if you will, sort of thing, and
Yeah.
just brought it to life in a video game, essentially.
Exactly, yeah. So you've got all the famous monuments and stuff like that. You've got Central Park, and Central Park's a place called the Dark Zone, where you can go in, and it's all man for himself when you're in there. So when you shoot someone, you can loot their items. When they shoot you, they can take your items and stuff like that. That all happens online, but that's like the online element. But the actual single player element, the third person nature of it, it's so brilliant played third person, because use a character you can feel, because it takes place during the winter, like near Christmas time, so you can feel the coldness, with your character, you have to dress them warm and stuff like that. You see the footprints. It's a game that definitely would have not worked first person. It's a third person, kind of game, and especially the shooting element. I always think could have been done in first person, but no, because when
do you think it would have been the same if it was first though?
I don't think so. No, because when it's third person, it has that element, because you're kind of restricted with the person's shoulder, the character's shoulder, right? So you're essentially looking down the crosshair of what's on the screen. But that's what adds to the challenge, because that's like real life. If you're shooting in real life, it's cold and you've got bosses everywhere. And when you're shooting, there's a lot of recoil and stuff like that. It makes it more challenging, but it's so much better in third person. So,
one thing.
Did you play it, Gal?
Yeah, I played. I did enjoy it.
Right.
Not gonna lie, I enjoyed it.
Do you know what? I own both. I've just never played them.
You haven't played
never played them. So
it's a fun game.
I thought it was online only, so that's why I was
It's a bit of. What do I say? It? Looter shoot? Because
that's what it is. It's a looter
shooting.
The game's amazing. Gameplay's amazing.
Yeah.
What I felt like is I feel disconnected with the story, because there weren't any cutscenes or something. It's kind of the stories kind of showed
continues
in the gameplay a little bit.
Yeah.
So I didn't kind of like that aspect, because when it first came out, it looked like, there's going to be some next sort of
cutscenes and stuff.
Which it's not a big thing. It's always something about the gameplay, but that was one thing that I found a bit negative about it. I just didn't.
Yeah. What do you think about the guns and as a third-person shooter?
I think there was so many it's just a modern day version of Borderlands, because it was just so much weapons,
so many weapons,
customizability. Right? It's got that old
that was the best. Yeah.
RPG elements. I think if you get a hat, and depending on what trousers and armor you're wearing, everything goes up. It's just getting it's that case of getting stronger and stronger. You have a point system where it just gets bigger.
That's it, exactly.
And you can choose what level you. A bit like Outriders. I think you can choose what level the enemies are. So it's like a world tier. I think it's a bit like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's got that.
And then the higher.
It's the difficulty, isn't it? The tiers,
that's it.
Isn't it?
Difficult tiers.
That's it.
It's a fun game, but really I just felt disconnected with the story. That's why I wish they done it more like a one of those AAA games, like a Uncharted or something. Something really gets me involved into it. Just
because it's gelled with this story, isn't it? Yeah.
That's what I felt like.
This is the essential hallmarks of a looter shooter. That's why the story is not essential. That's probably why you didn't connect with it. But with looter shooters, that's the appeal of it is the idea that you're getting weapons and stuff.
Gameplay is solid, but I just feel like it should have had more.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid as my cock.
John would be proud. What else would John say? He could go on a whole episode. We should just give him an episode.
He would tell you how many hours he's played.
And how many hours has he played again?
1,500 hours on that.
Yeah, because
I'd tell you what he would say, though. He'd be like...
Bloody gory.
It's brilliant.
I like anything else on there, sir?
Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah.
Nice. Good choice. Let's go to the number twos.
Number 2.
So my number 2 has already been said, and I think you guys knew it was going to be that, but Dead Space is number 2.
Dead Space.
Oh. I fucking love Dead Space. Yes. It's right up my alley for anyone who knows me. Sci-fi, horror, third person.
Yeah.
Sign me the fuck up. It's I never forget when this game first came out. I know we talk about this on the podcast so much. Season 1, we talk about this game a shit ton. It appeared in every episode. There's a reason for it, because this game is fucking awesome. But how, like Gokul said, how it puts you in that position, in that, you're that person trying to survive. Yeah. The fact you can see the health bar, you can see the status effects, everything like that all, and how you are, I remember buying this game. turn the lights out, surround sound up, everything.
Yep.
And I shit myself because this game does the best thing. Like Bioshock, it puts you in that situation, puts you in that element of what you're in for. And there's a part where all pipes like Steven and it says something in there. No, it's not. It's behind you. And that's what I love about this game.
It's
And I don't think this game would not done justice as a first person. No fucking way.
No way.
I mean, I was thinking about it
always
earlier.
thought about that.
I think it would be more scarier, but I think it's the fact that the whole suit and stuff, and then the whole the idea that you can have the health. I know you talked about earlier, the health on the back, on the spine.
Yeah.
That is so unique, and I think that makes it better. But I think it can work. I think it can work. I don't think why it can't, but
I mean, the Wii tried it, didn't it?
Yeah,
and it's okay, but it was essentially a gun game. But just as a game itself, I don't think it would have been as noticeable if it was. It'd just be like, oh, it's another fucking sci-fi shooter. But to have it in third person, to see a character, to see the deaths, and his movements trying to escape and stuff like that.
With the sorry, I don't know.
Go.
With the first person, I think you're kind of limited to what you can see. Whereas when it's three person, you actually feel like you're in the ship, and then they're quite one of my favorite things when you go past a dead body. And then you come back, and like amount of times after this incident, the first time you walk past and you come back, he wakes up. Amount of times after you just it's just in every game, like, but this time you just make sure you stomp his head this time.
Just make sure he's dead,
and you can make sure, because you can actually see it happen and stuff.
And then I don't know. I just feel it. I feel like it will work, but I prefer it in third person. It just immerses you more.
Absolutely, man. Yeah,
I mean, it's the Alien game that's not an Alien game, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
There's certain board games that are out now that have taken influences from this game, like the Nemesis games, for example.
Why have they not made a film out of this yet?
This is what I'm saying. It's like and the fact that James Wan directed the trailers for this game, and it's like how could they have not done it? But no, when this game came out, it was like I knew I was going to be a fan of this game. When it came out, they had the prequel anime that came out for it.
I watched that. Yeah.
The lore that you go into about the marker itself and what it could do to these people and whatnot.
Amazing.
There's just so much to this game, and the fact that it's my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's two elements of genres that I fucking love, and put it into one game and make two more games out of it as well, or five more, is it? Because two came out on thingy, so technically five in all. But how can it not be on here? How can it not be on this list?
As heavily inspired by The Thing as well.
100%. Yeah.
So many influences.
But Goku, going back, there's parts where what's his name? Isaac. Yeah. Isaac Clarke goes into zero gravity.
Yes, and the sound gets
and you got the rocket jets that he has to all out on or whatnot. Again, would not work if it was not a third person shooter.
Absolutely, so there's elements that they had to kind of throw in as well. And I was thinking about this. When you play a game like for a long period of time, whatever's like not really static because it's moving. He's moving the character, but the static element on that is him in his suit. So that's what makes it unique. That's what when you think of Dead Space, the first thing that comes to my head visually is his suit with the health bars, and that's kind of adds that stamp of uniqueness to it. That's what makes it different from everything else. If it was a first person, it would have been mundane. It would have been, you would have not really had that kind of catch. It would have been like, oh, it's just a first person shooter in space, and then it would have made it hard for games like Alien Isolation because that would have been like, oh, it's a copy of Dead Space if it was a first person. So in that sense, it's nice that it's unique as a third person kind of shooter. And again, it had to be done, especially when you're shooting with a gun.
Absolutely.
Had to be done in third person.
And just agreeing with what Goku said earlier on, there's not a lot lore I can talk about because, again, we've talked about this game 100 times. Not going to go into too much detail about it, but Goku, I'm glad it's on your list. I'm very surprised it's not on yours, but hey. Dead Space, number 2. What's your number 2, sir? Dead Space. Is it really?
It was that. I had to put it in there, and I was annoyed when you first said it.
Oh my god!
You said it, but you guys already said it. It is one of my favorite games of all time. Period. And I'll just end it on this. I can't wait for the remake, and I'll be getting it straight away. I'll leave it at that.
But then look how it's influenced the Callisto project as well.
Oh I'm convinced it's from the same.
It's the same guy. It's the same company, but it's not.
How are they getting away with it if they're not?
They don't want nothing to do with it. It must have sold the rights to them.
Yeah, they probably sold the rights. Yeah.
I hope that's the case because I'm playing but shit.
But if you look at the earlier footage for Callisto Protocol, it has the health bar in the spine, but now it's changed to the neck now, isn't it? So they probably have had to go back and do a few changes.
I remember when it came out.
Interesting.
Even the gun he had in the first early footage was a plasma cutter. Essentially a plasma cutter. It does the exact same thing.
Oh my god, yeah.
But Callisto Protocol, one of those games I've been waiting ages for, and I can't wait to finally play it this December.
It's December, isn't it?
Yeah, and then a month later, it's the Dead Space remake. Oh my god!
Mate, literally, gonna be awesome.
Sick, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of changing it. I've Noves mentioned. I was like, oh fuck. When you mentioned it, I was like,
the thing is, I don't think I can pick one. I think for you, like you did earlier, I have to pick the franchise because
100%.
As much as people don't like 3, I fucking love 3. I recently played it on my Steam Deck. 3 is so underrated.
Oh my god!
We were talking about openings for games a while back. Yeah. We mentioned a few, right? And the opening to Dead Space 3 is incredible. It would make such a great movie opening. Yeah, go back and play it and you'll know what I'm talking about.
I remember it being really sick. I remember, I totally forgot about it.
One, really, I think I'll say it again. If you play 2 play on that, it fucks with your mind.
Oh, there's 2.
Dead Space 3 does, doesn't it? Yeah.
So one of you control Isaac, one of you control the guy in the red suit. I can't remember his name.
Carter.
So you're going through it, and Carter's having the visions that Isaac used to have. So, or vice versa, I can't remember. And then you're going through this sort of play dungeon sort of type thing, and one of you starts seeing things. And you're like, oh, do you see it? Why is it all these teddy bears? Or he's messing with his hand, and then. Obviously, I'm seeing all this, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, why is it? And my brother's like, what? Because obviously we were playing in different rooms. So what are you talking about? This I can't. I was like, whoa, what? I quickly come down and just check. Holy shit, they messed with my head. I thought that was brilliant. I know it's probably using it.
Awesome.
It is clever the way they did that. It's a little minute thing, but that still stuck with me. And 2-player, people gave it. Dead Space 3. People gave it grief, but I loved it.
Yeah, they gave it good because it was the lack of horror. It was more of a sci-fi.
Yeah, but that was good. Yeah, and it reminded me of Lost Planets. Do you remember that? It kind of gave you that sort of vibe. Yeah. I like
considering it was on a snowy planet as well, wasn't it? Yeah, so I get where you're going.
Give that vibe. I liked all of them. I still think 2 was really good as well. Like I think 2 is
the twist at the end of 2 is like, oh my god, the Ishimura is here. Yeah. Good god, that shit's about to get real sort of moment.
Yeah.
That was one of the epic moments.
Sick. That's how it ended, isn't it? You see that, and you're like, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you get to go on.
No, you get to go on Ishimura, don't you? You go on it, yeah.
Oh my
it's like halfway through the game. It's like, the Ishimura's here, so it didn't blow up in the last one.
That's right.
It's all covered up and stuff, sort of type thing.
Yeah. And you go back to those Cold War doors that you remember from the first. If you're a fan of the first game, you'd be like, oh my god, there it is.
The nursery.
It's like, oh, I remember something pops out of here in this, and it's like, oh no, it's actually this.
And one of the creepiest ones, I hate the little babies with the little things that pop
coming out. I remember how it looks like. It's got 3. 1, 2, 3. So you've got to shoot each one off.
But yeah, it's like with 3, it's
crazy.
Oh, sorry. One last. Where is the enemy where he regenerates? Fucking arsehole, that guy.
Yeah, he's the big one.
Is he in all of them, or is he in the?
He's in 1 and 2.
He's fucking scary, man. Because you have to literally tear his limbs off, and you're like, and it's like he just regenerates,
comes back.
It's fucking scary as fuck.
You had to burn him in engine room or something, didn't you? But no, going back to 3 again very quickly, it's like, how could you change it from the first 2? Yeah, like I said, the 2-player element you mentioned, people didn't like the fact it was less scary, but what can you do? To not make a carbon copy of the first 2.
Exactly.
And that's why I think it doesn't falter. It shouldn't be as bad as people make out. Yeah. Make it more sci-fi, which they did. And the horror element was still there. Obviously not as good as the first 2, but you can't have the same 3 as the first 2, can you?
Yeah, it's true. Very, very true.
So as a franchise, I'd pick mine. I can't pick one particular. Yeah. Just as a franchise alone. Yeah. Again, if it's got Dead Space written on it, sign me up.
Yeah, 100%.
Do a fucking movie, guys. Come on.
I'm glad I didn't change it. I was so close to changing it because I know you had said it, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to stick with it. Fuck it.
Yeah.
It's got to be my
list. Yeah. So we talk about it a lot now.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Change it up. What's number 2?
All right. Right. So number 2. Okay, might come as a shock to you, Anne. Actually, it's Red Dead Redemption 2.
No fucking shock. It's Rockstar is going to be on there at some point.
Exactly. So. Yeah. You know, when you mention like open world, and you're thinking, should I think about GTA, and I thought, no, I'm going to throw in Red Dead 2. And I think the reason why is because
Nash would love you right now.
Oh, mate, he totally loved that game, didn't he?
It's a beautiful game.
Oh my God, he even looked like the character.
Beautiful.
He had the beard and everything.
Yeah.
If he just wore a waistcoat, he would have looked like my online character, which he did look like. And I need to show you a picture of that. Crazy, which is so funny. But yeah, it was like what they did, I think, with Rockstar is that they kind of just made this world so beautiful. So when you are shooting, right, and you're having these amazing gun battles as you do in Red Dead, like if just that you feel like you're a cowboy when you're watching those westerns, and like spaghetti westerns. It's like, I wish I was there, right, shooting these people on the top and stuff like that. And the way you do it with the Deadeye, to me, is one of my favorite mechanics, where you just go into that slow motion and you cross off the bad guys. It goes dum 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 dum. That is just, oh man, every time I get that, I just get so horny. It's just
It's
so
hard.
good. Yeah, it's like, it's incredible. And again, that's like an element that they haven't really introduced in other games, which makes it unique. But it's the idea when you think of the Wild West,
that game offers so much in there.
Oh man, everything. I mean, story aside, visuals aside, even just the travel aspect and stuff like that. Even though they had a steam train on it, a fully functioning
I wasted
steam
my
train.
time just going on my horse.
Yeah.
I never skip
between places, right?
I didn't skip. Like, at least near the end where the story picks up, and like, I need to know what the fuck happened.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
It's. I think I've said this so many times. That is one of the most realistic type of games I've played, because the moment, not realistic as in the fact that it's random. So the amount of times you just go from one map to another map, and the amount of shit that happens, it's unreal. Like,
in the time,
someone help button. There was like backstab you, or someone genuinely needs help. It's unreal. Some of the things
so good,
random.
isn't it? Yeah. So when it comes to shooting and stuff like that, and like the whole aspect of it, being a third person shooter, it's perfect for this kind of game. And like, I think that's what they did, like mechanics wise. I think Rockstar spent a lot of time getting it right, because you have to feel it. Because I think sometimes when third person games, when they flop, like third person shooters, because you don't have the feel of these weapons, this is like the advent of gunpowder and guns. This is when, after the musket, this was like the next closest thing to automatic weaponry and stuff like that. So they had to really nail it. And how do you make it less boring? Like, how do you make, a Remington?
How do you make cowboys and Indians interesting?
Exactly, right. How do you make a Remington more sexier than an AK-47, right? Like, how do you do that? And somehow they pulled it off in this game, and it being third person, it had to be third person, So your character, the fact that when you see him kind of like pulling the guns out, from his pocket and stuff like that, it's just, you just feel like, this
if
is...
they
this
do
is
the
it.
update like they did with GTA 5, would you go back and play in first person?
Absolutely. If they did the... actually, I'd give it a go.
The PS5
I would give it a go.
Talking about?
No, so when when they upgraded GTA 5, they put it in first person, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, if you had that option to do that with Red Dead, would you give Red Dead a go in first person? I know this is a third person episode, but I'm just interested if you would go back and try it.
I don't think I would. I mean, I think it wouldn't have the same effect, Like, it's something that it had to be in third person. Like, you had to see your character in action.
Yeah.
Kind of like pulling off all those shots.
So part of it is to see your beard grow, sometimes you just grow a beard like this.
You just wake up and it's like...
You're like, should I cut my beard today or not? It's so
good, isn't it? Yeah.
But I know the...
open world was brilliant.
You were talking about the gunplay action.
Yeah,
it's very GTA though. It's
without doubt.
It doesn't.
But
change
that's
it.
the thing, though. That's
Apart
what's
from the
great about
Deadeye.
it, because GTA, the gunplay on that was fantastic.
Yeah,
that's the
it's
reason why I play GTA Online all the time, because the gunplay was really, really good, and you can feel it. And they just elevated it. So now you're going from GTA to Red Dead Redemption. You're going back in time.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, how do you make those mundane guns sexy and interesting?
They do have a machine gun, I swear, at one point.
They do, yeah. But it's a very slow... It's not really like an automatic. It's like a semi-automatic.
Yeah, that's it.
If I remember. Yeah. And they had the gauntlet gun as well.
So you get the revolvers, you get the shotguns.
Yeah.
You get a sniper? No,
you get a sniper, like a rolling block sniper.
That's it, yeah.
Right, so it's essentially a rifle with a scope that's attached by a rope. But, it's like...
so I think that's why another reason when you play Red Dead, it's like, I'm used to this sort of thing. It's not something new. Apart from the Deadeye,
Yeah.
But it's good.
Exactly. The Deadeye, oh man, that was such a brilliant mechanic. It still is just so good. Exactly, yeah. It's like, watching these westerns.
But that wasn't the first one, though, wasn't it? The Deadeye.
And it was in the first one.
Yeah.
It was in the first one, yeah. And I think in the second one, they just refined it like proper, and for the next gen console as well, and it looks visually spectacular and everything.
Oh, mate.
And,
Sometimes when
it's coming off.
Mountain sort of peaks. You're like, oh my God, this is sick.
You can just see it, like the drawing distance, like in the background, things are happening, as you're doing your thing. Like you see a stagecoach getting robbed in the distance and stuff like that. It's like real life.
Yeah, I swear you can join and you can help them, or you can steal some random stuff will happen.
Just your friendly neighborhood cowboy.
Is it Arthur Morgan?
Arthur Morgan. Yeah.
Guy's a pussy.
So good.
You haven't even played it, dude. You need to play it.
John Marsden all the way. I played the first one. First one's my favourite.
Yes.
John Marsden goes down like a champ.
He does. But I'm surprised you don't like this one. I don't know.
John Marsden.
We've talked about it, but I'm not going to go into it again. Why I don't like it.
Why don't you like it?
I'm not told you. Go back and listen to episodes of such.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it was very slow compared to the fact that he came off another game.
Yeah, so you remember that episode? Yeah, right. At least you remember.
He kills a cow and go skin it and shit.
It takes fucking forever.
I actually totally see
then
that.
Don't kill the cow, then, isn't it?
It's not just that. We're not getting into it because again we can be from. Anything else on that Red Dead 2?
I think so. No, that's got to be it. Had to be number 2.
Nice. Yeah. We'll go to the final ones.
It's number 1.
Right, everyone knows what this was going to be. It was fucking obvious from the start, wasn't it? Gears of War is my number 1. Not just number 1, the game, the franchise alone. My favourite game and franchise of all time. I want to get a tattoo of it. It's how much I love this game. But again, it's this game where it's... apart from Mass Effect 2, because... No, Mass Effect 2 was after this, wasn't it? This was essentially the game that got me into third persons. The fact that it introduced the whole duck and cover aspect to it, which was a game changer for video games at the time.
Yep.
The characters, the story alone is fucking brilliant. It's like, again, how have they not made a movie of this yet? It's just
totally.
They should launch it. Oh,
yeah. The gameplay is addictive for a third person. I know it's simply just duck, cover, shoot, but where you're doing it, how you're doing it, who you're doing it with, is how this game works.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that's why this is like my all-time favourite of all time. It's never have I felt involved in a story / movie type story since Metal Gear. The Metal Gear was the one that was like, holy shit, we can, a video game could be a movie now. This one was the one that, I was dead focused. I mean, I even wrote a script for this game.
Wow.
That's how much I wanted this to be in a movie, because I looked into everything. I looked into the lores of the characters, the fact that you've got to remember that this isn't on Earth. This is on a planet called Sierra. So I had to look into why that we ever got into war with the locusts and why we are at war with ourselves and stuff like this. Dude, it's mind-boggling how much you can find out about it. And this was back in 2006. This game opened my eyes up to a world of third-person shooters, and I wouldn't be playing third-person shooters now if it wasn't for Gears. The Gears franchise alone. I will follow this franchise to the day I die, no matter how many crap games they are. People don't like 4 and 5. I like 4. 5, not so much. But, Xbox being very, very quiet at the moment, that there isn't a 6 at the moment, so I'm kind of worried that it's not going to carry on, but I'm hoping it will. Yeah. You cannot deny this series of games for third-person shooters to not be in that top 5 category per se. Totally. I know it probably wasn't in yours because you knew I was going to have it, but to not have Gears in any third-person shooter category is blasphemy, in my opinion.
Totally.
It's crazy. It's like I can go back and replay those all the time, no matter how many times I've played them. Know the story off by heart. I just love it. I love it so much, and I'm not going to keep boring our audiences with it. I'll promise I'll stop talking about Gears for a while now, guys. I promise.
But when you think of third-person shooter, that immediately Gears of War.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's in your head straight away.
Do you remember the first time you ran in that game, and it does that cinematic camera angle, like it's something out of Southern Private Ryan?
Yeah.
Like, dude, wow,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Just, wow.
It's the first time they did that.
Exactly.
That's the thing. I come to think of it, the shaky camera and stuff, you got to get between the next cover and stuff.
It's like you forget. I mean, you can roll out the way, you can dive, but you can never jump over things. You kind of forget that because you're more concerned about ducking, leaning over, finding your target, shooting, just like a real army man would do sort of thing. And it's such a great game.
I know.
It's such a great game.
So good.
I'm so desperate for 2 and 3 to be remade. I'm hoping Xbox will do like some sort of massive collection, like they've done with the Master Chief Collection. Yeah. Because obviously number 1 got remade. Come on, 2 and 3 need to be redone.
It needs to be done, dude. Yeah, totally. Again, like there's another, the Lancer, right? That gun in itself, defined, the game. One of the reasons why it defined the game, and also just something so small, the reloading in that with the bar,
good,
first time that's been done as well. And I remember just thinking, this is genius. You get it right, and then
it's that kind of.
It was so weird because everyone knows X or Square on PlayStation is reload. Right, it's always been reload.
Absolutely,
but the fact that your left bumper
was a
reload. I'm sorry, right. Beg your pardon. You're right. Yeah, right bumper.
Yeah,
is a reload. Was just like how does that even work? But it does so well,
so beautiful.
And the active reload, if you get it in that little box, you'd be like, he reloads even quicker. I was like, The Marcus is like, take it.
When the bullet's stronger as well, or something like that, isn't it?
No, it just reloads quicker. That's all it does because it goes fucking long.
That's why it had to be like it looks so cinematic. If it was in first person, do you think it would have been a cinematic? I don't think so, right?
No chance.
Because you're seeing Marcus
there are moments in that game where I would like to be in first person, like especially in the first one when you come across the Berserker for the first time. That scene or that part of the game alone would be great in first person mode. But just as a game itself, no. Would never been done justice if it was first person.
Absolutely. Yeah. You've seen that game in third person as well. Even like on the new ones, like 4 and 5, just the detail on the, on the costumes and stuff like that, and on the guns, and when they come out of water, and it's all like,
And that's the thing, because the 360 was still in that phase where it was at the red ring of death phase.
Yeah.
And the fact of how graphically it pushed, or Gears pushed that console, like you said, when you got out in the water, all the water ripples on the armor, or the dents, or the bullet marks, and it's oh my god, it's
so
just
much, isn't it?
There's so much to it, and it's just I can't deny it. It's such a great franchise that just not just the heroes, the villains. They keep coming. They have different species of them, different races of them. There's different weaponry in the game. There's just so much you can do with it as a third person franchise. And again, I'm not boring people here. We'll move on. Gears of War, my number 1, sir.
I knew it.
Big Gal.
Amazing.
Just like one of your favourite franchises of all time.
Yep.
My one, I'll say Metal Gear Solid.
Yep.
Yes.
I think you guys knew it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. You knew Metal Gear is one of mine. I would have been on mine. But again, I knew you'd have it, so there's no point. There's another franchise I thought you were going to have on it, but you didn't. So I'm very surprised by that, which I took off because I thought you'd have it. Carry on, sir. What's...
Yeah, tell the viewers, even the new viewers, why Metal Gear Solid? Why, Gal, we associate Metal Gear Solid to you?
It's like it's funny because like I was talking to you earlier about the levels in a third person, like just a simple aspect of I'll just say, so it's a third person, but the weapon in some of them. So even to the very first, the Nikita launcher. Do you remember that?
Oh, one of my favorite weapons.
So it zooms into the. I think it goes into the front of the launcher, and you actually control it first person.
That's that's the remote missile launcher, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you have the Stinger launcher.
The Stinger.
So again, just going talking about the concept of the levels of it. So it's over. You take it out, and then it goes into first person, and then you have to pick out the spots of the helicopter, right? And you lock onto it. Then you press it and go. But it's It's not just the first one. Every game, but especially the first one, I believe it was a way ahead of its time. The way, it chooses, just like I mentioned earlier, like Nier Automata, it changes perspective, but he does it in a way that it utilizes it in the specific weapons. So I don't think this first one does it. I believe the third one, because I remember, because I was trying to. It's hard to do if you get the SOCOM, you aim at their head. I had to literally go because I was and Metal Gear does it where you try not to kill anyone,
Yeah.
and you get like the best sort of rank. So I had the tranquilizer, and I had to pinpoint accurately and look close at the screen and try to get it in the head, because you can't get it on the armor because it won't work, the tranquilizer.
Right.
So you go in the first person and you trank them up. I can't remember very much if the first one does it, but after that one you were able to do that. But the fact that you could do these things and you can still play over the head, and it changes. Like in the tanker episodes, the camera will shift sideways depending if you're climbing the tanker on the side or you climb over, then it goes really high top. It's just like almost like just like you said, almost it's like a movie.
Yeah,
you're playing a movie,
cinematic, isn't it?
It's just I can
But
go.
it was, the thing I loved about that game is that you talking about small details, Gal, and other games is that this game would do things that I would do if I was in that situation. So, for example, like, do you remember when you hugged a wall, the camera would pan onto you, but you'd be able to see down the corridor. And the fact that you're trying to distract him is like, well, if I distract him, I can go underneath this box. And the fact that you can knock on the wall, and they'll be like, huh? What was that?
Yeah.
Who's that?
What's that?
And then you do that, and if I was in that situation, I would do that. Or if it was in a movie, I'd be like, that's what would happen. Sort of. And the fact that this game could deliver that to you, again, way ahead of its time.
How did it pull this game off on the PS1? I
forget it was on the PS1.
Do you remember when the first time you crawl under? Like, I was like, where the hell do I go? Like what the hell? And there's like a little, and the colonel's like, look for an air vent. And I'm like, I'm looking for this massive sort of air vent to come. And there's a little small hole that you got to go, and you go in and it turns first person. You're like, what the hell? And then like mice is running
I'm still
around.
amazed that little mini PS console down there behind me can run it.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, I feel like sometimes plugging it in and just giving it a go, you know?
Dude,
Yeah.
it's such a nostalgic now, but it was
amazing.
hands down way ahead of them. And what as the consoles got bigger, so what he did is like you get more bigger open spaces. So if you look at Snake Eater, he starts to utilize, because it's a stealth element game, so you actually have to use camouflage. So you got to change the outfit to match the grass. You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, and then you go in the
or
you get a red sort of like uniform to go in the brick. It's not believable, but the fact that you could do these things,
amazing.
And what I love about it is where like you can actually almost like customize it a little bit. He can probably put a wig on and you start looking like a Raiden from number 2 and all these different outfits. And one thing I loved about number 2 was where I always loved the uniform. Do you remember the orange sort of combat uniform I used to wear that, and it always appear in the bloody cutscenes. I loved that.
Oh, it's
I love this. Anything you have on, it will come in the
go in the
cutscene.
cutscene. Yeah,
and I was
That's
like, this is so
good.
wicked,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
It's so cool. And then and number 4 is, I think I've talked about it before, is one of really standout ones for me, and it's like it finishes it off really well. And even in that, there's so many things I can go into, but he did a bit. He stepped up a little bit on not stepped up, but number 4 was a big Phantom Pain.
Number
5,
where it's an actual open world, which I'm not a big fan of. But I wish I gave it more of a chance now. I do love the game, but I think I should have played it more, because I wasn't a big fan of open world for Metal Gear, because like I said, it's more narrow. It needs to be like
it's not as movie type. Is it?
It just didn't. And you recruit people, so you kind of put
you nick them, didn't you?
Yeah, and they go. Poof.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a bit gimmicky, wasn't, because Metal Gear is realistic, and nothing about it is realistic, but it has that element of like almost sci-fi realism to it, like and some of the stuff he goes in is very technical and stuff. But the fact that he goes poof, when he goes up,
how's it go?
It's so funny, man.
That's good.
Yeah, but it even in the stealth in that, I know it's not about the third person, but the combat and stuff that you can do in that, it's
amazing.
It's still
gunplay is always good in that.
The weapon choices in that are and then when you get the helicopter and you can play your music, like I think I used to have what's that?
Ride of the Valkyrie.
That's it. Yeah,
classic.
So cool, man. All these little and then you can actually have. I think you can find the
Walkman in Brilliant.
He's torn. He's torn between the Metal Gear.
So
games.
one in particular, if you had to pick one out of the franchise,
what would it be?
Would it be number 4?
Oh, that's hard, man.
Are you torn?
Yeah.
I'm torn.
He's lying naked on the floor.
If I had to choose, no, I can't choose. I really can't. I would say 5 is the weakest. all of the others are wicked. Like it's unchoosable for me.
It's tough. It's tough. That's words of a true Metal Gear.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I love every single one. Like I could say
So
the first one, but then I love number 2.
Yeah.
But I love Snake Eater, but number 4 wraps it all up.
Yeah.
But I think I chose number 3 in one of the episodes because of the story of Big Boss and the relation between those two. But yeah, I can sit here and talk about it all day, man. But I can't. Choose. I love all of them.
Yeah. Gunplay now was amazing. Yeah, the weaponry, Nikita launcher.
So-
Nikita launcher, remember that? Oh.
So ours was obvious. What's yours, sir?
Yeah. Oh,
What's your
mine.
number one?
So this is like something that, you know,
Go on, say
it's just a
Pokemon.
personal choice of mine. But
GTA.
I really enjoyed it. You know, no, it's actually GTA.
Is it?
No, but it's a Ghost Recon game.
Oh.
Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Wow.
Seriously. And the reason why I chose this is because I was thinking
You've mentioned
about,
this before on the podcast. Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, the reason why, like this, because it's, you know, third person shooter, right? And that's what this game is. And something so brilliant about this game is just, for me, what did it was like, I love the whole world it was set in. And, you know, you're playing as these, like, you know, the soldiers, and you're doing these missions. But the third person aspect, in my opinion, out of all the games I played, was the most realistic and the most satisfying. So, you know, you're playing as these soldiers, depending, no matter what gun you're using in that, like, you know, when you're fighting, you know, the enemies, or you're shooting the narco terrorists or whatever, and, you know, even just using the sniper rifle and stuff like this, it's just so satisfying, you know. And I had to really think about this because I
came
thought
out on the PS4.
PS4,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
it came out on PS4 and Xbox.
Xbox One.
It has
One?
that Predator.
Yeah, I've got it, yeah.
It has that Predator
Yeah.
DLC on it, I think.
Yeah, it's got a few DLCs. It's got a Splinter Cell DLC, you know, stuff like that.
I always thought it was
And
kind of
it's,
like a rip-off of Far Cry. Was that wrong, or was it?
yeah, it's different.
It's more realistic,
It's
isn't
realistic,
it?
but-
Obviously,
Yeah.
Far Cry being first person and whatnot, but
Exactly, because it's a third person.
this is more about
game.
taking about the cartel out in the big world, isn't it?
That's right.
It's like
And-
GTA meets Far Cry, isn't it, in a way,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's really because it was also happening during the hype of in media culture when Narcos came out as well. So a lot of it you can relate to it. So you have this like graphic. So you imagine what a spider diagram looks like, and the main king, the main don, El Diablo, was the center, right? He's the guy that you're trying to get to. But then he had his lieutenants, and his lieutenants had like, you know, sub-lieutenants. You had to kill off the sub-lieutenants first, then you move on to lieutenants, and then you move on to El Diablo. So you had to cross off everyone, and they're in every different part of the map. You know, that's what makes it really good, because you're forced to travel to these places.
And what, you can do it in any order?
And you can do it in any order. In that hierarchy, so you've got to work out the rings first, right? And move in, and then the final person you got to kill is El Diablo. He's like the main character, right?
I remember Tom Clancy's always like realism. Remember that time when you got that
Yeah.
Dell PC and you were playing a Tom Clancy game?
Yeah, it was Splinter Cell.
No,
Raven Shield.
Raven Shield.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It was a Tom Clancy
They were
game.
always good with the
So good,
shooting,
especially with the weaponries, you know, like that's the thing, like when it comes to shooting, like, when it comes to sound and the gunplay, even just the level of recoil, you know, you
always-
really feel it.
The sound effects were so real.
That
in
was the best,
in
yeah.
Tom Clancy's game.
Because like in Tom Clancy game, for example, good example of that is when it comes to sound. So, you know, when you have a silencer, the sound is pew, like that, or pew, pew, right, which is actually not the sound of silencer. That was made famous by James Bond movies and stuff like that. It's actually, that's the sound of a silencer. It's a click. Yeah, and that's what makes it silent. It sounds like someone's just clicked. So I remember hearing that thinking, is this the sound of silencer? And I remember watching some like video about it, how they made it, and they said this is the real silencer sound. So even like little things like that make it real.
That's the whole pew thing,
Yeah.
right? If you heard that,
Yeah.
you'd be like someone's been shot, because you're like, oh, it's not that silent. Is it?
Exactly, right? But you can hear it still. Yeah, it's like,
It's like in the bushes, and someone's behind you,
Yeah.
and you hear a pew.
Yeah,
You're like,
you're
oh
like,
fuck,
shit,
someone's
been
shooting at me.
shot with a silencer. Exactly.
Right? It's not that silent. It was going.
It's not silent. Exactly. It makes sense, right? Yeah. So
I think his idea
Yeah,
is
it's
You think about it, though.
I think that's the sound that player or that person hears. I think that's the idea, but still, that's so funny.
That's so hilarious.
Oh shit! I'm getting shot.
Shoot me.
What's that? Shit! Someone's trying to shoot me.
Yeah,
I suppose that
yeah.
isn't as bad as
Yeah, it's a pew like that. Yeah.
Can't get over that.
Going off topic, do you remember, on the topic of realism, do you remember that game everyone was umming and ahhing about back in the day on the PC?
What's it called?
It's you get shot once, you die, but I can't remember that. Red Flag? Was it Red Flag? No.
Oh, was it like a real life?
Something point. I can't remember. It's very.
Okay.
It was competing at the time with Tom Clancy games.
Right.
Something
right.
point I can't remember. Oh man, I think John will know.
John
But
would
it's so
definitely know.
real is like
Yeah.
if you get shot once, you
You're
kind
pretty
of
much dead and stuff. Yeah. That's
So
it.
it was just like final point. Oh man,
Okay.
I can't remember. It's annoying me.
Yeah.
You remember on the ride
Yeah, I
home.
bet
Yeah,
you
it'd
will,
be like,
yeah.
oh damn, it came to me. Yeah. But yeah, that's another thing. Like also with Tom, like this kind of game, like before with any kind of game, when you're going into a battle or you're going to fight someone, you don't really like do reconnaissance on the area. But this one gives you a drone that you can use to kind of look at where like loudspeakers are and stuff like that. So it kind of helps you. So when it comes to planning, and this is when it's great when you're playing online with other people, you can talk to each other as operatives do with the headphones and everything like that. So you can tell people, okay, you go to the right, you flank around here. And it's like strategic. It's like proper strategic. And you can go in and just,
I might give it a go. I did.
Yeah, it's
I
free.
remember when
Game
I got
Pass.
it from Zex, and then I was like,
yeah.
I played it. I was like, oh, nah, I wasn't in the mood. I might give it a
Yeah.
go.
Definitely. It's
number
on the Game Pass. Yeah, it's free on the Game Pass.
Yeah,
and
it is,
stuff. Yeah. But yeah, out of all of them, that's what came number one for me because it also felt great. And also, like a few months after the game came out, I went to Peru and I was just so amazed.
And
at
that's
how
why, here we go.
Peru.
And it was
I
real.
was like, wow, this is really real. It just made the game so much better. I'm there thinking, oh my God, this is like.
Oh, that's why it's number one, because I've been there.
This is what's happened.
I live
He
the
went to
video
Peru, then he played it. I was like, oh my god, this is wicked.
And look, that's the turkey shop I bought the chicken from.
There's a toilet where I
The
went to
turkey shop bought chicken from? That makes sense.
But it takes place in Bolivia. But it's still, it's still similar.
It's like Peru.
It's like Peru. Yeah.
Paranese
yeah.
people.
joking.
But yeah, it's good. And yeah, that's why it's my number
We
one.
distracted him
Nice.
now.
Oh, yeah. So I've done that to you a couple of times.
Yeah.
You I can take it like a man.
Shall we do honorable mentions?
Yeah, let's
Yes.
All right. Just a heads up, guys. There are so many fucking third-person shooter games out there. If we don't mention it, deal with it. All right.
Absolutely.
Send us a comment of ones that you thought should have gone on here, honorable mention-wise. Big Gal, let's
I'll
do
do
some of
about
yours.
5. God of War. Well, no,
It's
that's
not
not
a
a shooter.
shooter,
So
though.
Yeah.
Resi 4,
Yeah.
Horizon.
Resi 4 was on my
Horizon.
list. That's the one I took off.
Yeah, that was.
And I took it off because I thought you were going to have
I
it.
mentioned it before, so I thought.
way.
Then again, I said mentioned Metal Gear all the time, but
Yeah,
I
sure.
thought you were going to put it in, so I thought, what?
See? Well, great minds think alike, motherfucker. Sorry. So Resi 4, what was that one?
That's it. That's it. There's more, but I couldn't write it down. Sorry.
Go cool.
Oh, Deus Ex? Remember that?
Yeah.
That was
Oh
good,
yeah,
man.
that's a good
really
game. That's a brilliant game.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Basically Metal Gear in the future, isn't it?
Yeah. The Hitman series.
Oh yeah, we
Yes.
The world of
Yes.
and
I was
now-
surprised. I thought you were going to.
Yeah, I thought he was going to have that.
I thought about that. It's just again, it's like I mentioned a lot of episodes, and it would have made it onto this, but I thought there was so much more to it. For me, that was more about stealth, like the way you can kill them.
Yeah.
And Metal Gear isn't.
Fuck it, I'm playing that game any chance I get.
Yeah, the world of assassination, as it's called now, because all the games are complete, so it's essentially one big world.
Yeah, true.
That you can actually play all these. Imagine playing that for the first time, blow your balls off, man. That'd be so good.
Tomb Raider. I think you've said that already, haven't you?
Yeah,
Tomb
mentioned
Raider,
it,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
No.
even like the newer ones, like the Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Oh man, incredible! Really, really good. Again, like a lot like an Uncharted vibes, but still had to
Yeah.
be done.
Max
That's
Payne.
where Uncharted
says-
got it from.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Max Payne, dude.
Max Payne. Yeah.
Yeah,
I really
so-
thought you had that.
Oh man,
I
Yeah,
really
so
thought.
Yeah.
especially number 3, when
Yeah.
it was in Brazil.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a good one.
That
Is
was
that on the
so
pass? Because I'm
good.
trying to look for it. Cause
No, I don't think it is. You can
Oh,
buy it on
no.
on Xbox.
Yeah, I want to play that. If I'm in the mood for.
That end fucking level in the airport, dude. One of
Is
the
it good?
best end levels ever to a game.
So
Absolutely.
compared to the other two, or out of the three, which
Number
one's
3 is nowhere near like 1 and 2. 1 and 2 is dark, dirty, gritty, and deranged.
Yeah.
They
Number
planned
2
number
is
two.
short. Number 2 is nearly
Oh.
like 3-4 hours long.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
But is it
Okay.
worth? Yeah. They need to remake that one.
It's okay, man. They are remaking the first one though, apparently.
Yes,
So,
yes, they are.
And then
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg made a film of it, didn't he? So,
Oh yeah.
um,
What a shit show that was.
so I'll go into mine very quickly.
Yeah,
I've got
go
a couple. So, Army of Two. Anyone remember that?
Yeah.
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 That was a good third-person sort of co-op one.
Yeah.
Vanquish,
Yep.
Banquet.
which is basically like the best anime
Yeah.
third-person shooter ever made.
Yeah. Wow.
We mentioned it earlier, Last of Us.
Yep.
Max Payne, you've just mentioned. Sunset Overdrive.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I saw that list.
Yeah?
That is
Absolutely.
good.
What a gorgeous looking game.
That is brilliant.
And
Beautiful.
this is done by the guys who did
It's almost
Spider-Man
like a
as well.
platformer sort of.
Yeah,
third
it's a
person.
platform, but
Yeah.
majority of the game is shooting,
Yeah.
though, isn't
Yeah.
it? So,
Without a doubt.
Sniper Elite, I mentioned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant.
Most recently, I playing the Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Oh, is that
It's a,
Yeah,
it's a
that's a
third-person
shooter. Yeah, good shout. Yeah.
Yeah.
amazing?
What else did I put? Zombie Army. You mentioned Lost Planet series, which
Yeah.
is a great fucking series.
so good.
Again,
I don't need a remaster or something.
Capcom needs to do another one, or
Dude.
just redo it from the start.
So good, man.
They were cracking games. They were. Again, you mentioned this was very closely going in. It'd probably be in my top 10 this game, but Outriders. I fucking love Outriders. Outriders is a
So
damn
good.
good game.
It's like a more sci-fi version of Division, but
I'd say it's
RPG.
more sci-fi than Gears, to be honest.
Mm,
It
yeah.
is essentially
Yeah.
Gears, but more sci-fi,
Yeah,
more
true.
looter shooting than that.
an RPG.
And then last but not least, because I'm still playing it to this day, and then because it's got a new campaign today,
Right.
Aliens Fireteam Elites
Oh,
is a
yes.
good
Nice.
third-person shooter.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely
Oh,
up
shit, I
there.
forgot about that.
That's a good shout.
Again, there's so many more other ones I can't think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're all good choices
Yeah.
at the end of the day. All good
Amazing.
shout-outs. Ones we took out because we thought we were going to clash with.
I
Again,
took
even
out
though we
Dead
don't
Space.
clash. But
Yeah.
Resi 4 is my number 6. I only swapped it last minute because, again, I don't think many people had heard of Stranglehold. But as a third-person shooter, it's more of a shooter than Resident Evil 4 is. I know Resident Evil 4, a lot of it is shooting basis, but it's more of a horror element to it, whereas this is fucking action-packed, shooting the shit out of people.
true.
That's
So
what I like.
that's why I was
Yeah,
very swapped
yeah.
at the very last minute. But yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah,
That's
good
really
shout.
good.
Good shout. I was going to give you one more question before we go, but I don't want to put you on the spot in case you can't think of one.
Yeah, go on.
But if there was
Yeah.
a first-person shooter game that you could turn third-person,
Yeah.
what would it be?
A Far Cry. I would actually. Straight up.
Ubisoft, make it happen.
Please, Ubisoft. Every aspect, just give us the third person option. Press one button, third person. That's it. Please. Okay.
Oh, very
next?
specific.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
I'm so happy you asked that.
Bioshock?
yes,
dude,
that'd be
imagine
good. That's a
that.
good shout-out.
That would be so sick.
Bioshock.
in third
That's a
person.
good shout-out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good on you, sir. That was a good one.
That would be incredible third person, man.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be like Dead Space underwater.
What's happening with that series, dude? Like, it's like almost has stopped.
There's supposedly meant to be another one in
Another
the works,
one.
isn't there?
I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
But we'll see.
plot thickens.
We'll see.
They've remastered it twice as well, so they can't keep
Yeah.
fucking doing it.
What others? I don't know. That's probably...
First person, third person.
Do you know what I like to see in third person? Titanfall.
Yeah.
That'd be brilliant.
Because I'd love to see. Do you remember? So do you remember?
Yeah. I can see that work, dude.
Going back to PC days, you remember Mech Warrior?
Yeah.
The Mech Warrior series. I mean, John, if you're listening, you'll fucking know it. But again, when you get in the Titan, it's all first-person shooter. You don't actually really see the
That's
Titan
right.
as
That's
well.
right.
And,
Yeah.
and obviously, you're as a pilot, you know, because in that game you jump from wall to wall, very
Yeah, yeah.
Apex Legends style stuff, isn't it? Could you imagine if you just saw that and you can see your character doing it in here? That'd be pretty fucking cool. I mean, just off the top of my head, Titanfall would be fucking cracking in third person.
I can see that work.
Yeah.
I can see that work.
But to actually see your Titan fight and shoot and shit like that would be,
That'd be
really
incredible.
good. Because you know when you do the melee attack and you pull them out, you see it in
Yeah.
third person then, don't
Yeah,
you?
true.
But
Yeah.
just off the top of my head, that'd be fucking cool.
I was just thinking, when you just said Apex, Fortnite's third person.
Fortnite.
Sure, yes.
Overwatch.
Yeah.
Overwatch?
I swear that's third person, isn't it?
Nice, first.
PUBG.
I'm thinking of another game then. Yeah. Sorry.
But yeah, there's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many out there. But again, guys, if we didn't pick any, we're so sorry. We're not pros at this, but we love talking about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And apologies if we repeated ourselves. If you're constant fans of this, again, this was an episode we should have done 3 seasons ago,
Yeah.
and we've only just brought it back to now. But we hope you enjoyed the show. We're going to end it there as well, guys. So if you like what you listen to, please follow us on Facebook at the M.T.V.B podcast or
On Instagram at MTVBB Podcast.
On TikTok at MTV Podcast 197.
and on Twitter on MTV Podcast 1. Guys, thank you for coming on the show. I hope you
No.
enjoyed it.
Thank you, Anne.
No,
Thank
I
you,
insist. Thank you,
No,
sir.
no. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for showing up, unlike someone. And guys,
bastards.
hope you like what you listen to, and we hope to see you soon. Good night.
Good night, guys.
Yeah.
See ya.